Yo, they wouldn't let me come on right at 5 o'clock. I had to redo the space. Send out tweets. It's 5:03 Eastern Standard Time. I'm sorry, excuse me. 4:0321 37 million. I'm tripping. Let's go. Outlaw Media in here. 6:02 Eastern Standard Time, 5:02 Central Standard Time, 4:02 Mountain Standard Time, 3:02 Pacific Pacific Standard Time. Outlaw Media time check. So 37 million sitting, and I can't get my reparations. Outlaw Media. Yeah, there's $37 million sitting around the north side of St. Louis, and it's been a real doozy. I got two articles I want to share. That's the reason why we can't even get trash picked up around here. We can't even get grass cut around here, and it's been like that for a while. And then soon as it was somebody that was probably finna make a change, a whole lot of fuck shit happened. So I'm just a simple resident, um, making my voice be heard because cause I am a voter. So so we got a Big G. What's up, man? In here. What's up, man?
Yo, brother Conscious, I seen your DM, bro. But I'm out with the family. I'm with KD, Mel, Booby, Sonny, brother Blue Pack, Tommy. So I'm gonna holler at you,
Yeah.
bro.
It's recorded. It's recorded. I'm recording this.
Oh, okay, bet. My bad. Yeah, I seen your DM, so I just want to let you know why I wasn't in the
Yeah,
room.
yeah, yeah. Because I'm only gonna hold it for a minute. I'm doing real article shit right now. I'm finna discuss two real articles that I got.
Okay, bet, bro. I holler.
All right,
All right,
all
go.
right. So that's what's up. 37 $37 million sitting, and I can't get my reparations out. Allow me to the family in here. See, I'm not by myself at all. Not by myself at all. So I'm about to go with these articles, but I'm holding the space up because this is my space. I'm not gonna hold it open too long because I don't need anybody coming because I'm actually reporting Outlaw Media. Please go to consciousoutloudmedia.com. Yes, I own that site. Whenever Twitter decides to nuke me, you'll be able to find me there because it's gonna get real ugly in 2023. Very ugly. So, about to get in front of my computer and pull these articles up. There are tweets in the jumbotron, but I'm actually gonna read these articles for the people that have to listen back on recording. Hold on, I'm gonna mute for a quick second. I have background noise. All right. So there was a very interesting article that came across my desk today, and I'm about to discuss this. And this, I tweeted it out. So yeah, they wouldn't let me get on. And then when I tried to tweet out before I got on, then Twitter crashed. I had to come back. This is how bad they be hating. They be hating real bad. All right, so I gotta pull this article up right here. It's a lot of things. I got a fire time feed. People watch it, some people don't. So yeah, I'm gonna pull it up on my plug into my device here. Saturday afternoon. Great day. Hope everybody had a great Saturday. Okay. Now, so this came out January 19th, and it is January 21st. And I'm going to read it out. It's coming off Channel 4, KMOV. Fair use, fair use, fair use. 37 million dedicated to North St. Louis, delayed by impacts of alderman indictments, remedies in the works. Fighting for Resurgence by Caroline Heckler. That's who wrote it. Published, like I said, January 19th. This just happened like Wednesday. They were just published this. So St. Louis, Missouri, 9 months after St. Louis Mayor Tashar Jones signed a bill that sends 37 million to North St. Louis, the money remains largely unspent. The money is slated to help 11 corridors north of Delmar along with surrounding neighborhoods. It's also intended to benefit small businesses, create jobs, and improve streets. But with much of the money not yet to be spent, some North St. Louis residents are growing increasingly frustrated. What's going on? Where's the money? Said Shasi Cody, a lifelong North St. Louis resident, who is getting it because we're not getting any. Shasi said after living on the north side for decades, she is tired of seeing her neighborhood deteriorate. It is a mental stress because you know what the neighborhood looked like before and now. Look at the neighborhood now, she said. Where am I supposed to go? I'm on a fixed income and I can't afford to move. She questions where the money promised to the residents is and says she is tired of waiting for it. Here we think the mayor promised to bring this money to North St. Louis and we haven't seen anything, she said. These small businesses, they are not going to be able to stay afloat because the people in the neighborhood can't support them because they don't have anything to support them with. News 4 reached out to the mayor's office to find out what is causing the delay. A spokesperson for the mayor said the language within the legislation is making the implementation of grant programs difficult, mainly because of the approval of projects require a letter of support from the alderman who oversees that particular ward. The language reads in part, any project in the wards, including grants, shall be approved by the alderman of the ward in which the project is proposed. This approval shall be requested by the SLDC and approval shall be provided by the alderman of the ward via letter on the alderman's letterhead. If the alderman of the ward does not send a letter of support in the letterhead, then the project should not be funded or approved by SLDC. However, the indictment of Alderman Jeffrey Boyd and John Collins Muhammad, both whom previously represented parts of North St. Louis, slowed the process down when they both stepped down. There were no aldermen to approve prospective projects. Boyd and John Collins Muhammad are both facing prison time, where they have now this they are in prison for their roles in a bribery and pay to play case. Former board Alderman President Louis Reed is also facing prison time. This, like I said, I'm starting pause on this. I do believe they're already gone. Without a letter of approval, no projects can be approved, leading to the delay in the implementation of the grant money. The St. Louis Development Corporation released the following updates to News 4. SLDC has increased capacity, improved operational efficiencies, and built the necessary infrastructure to solidify and accelerate the process of getting ARPA funded program dollars into the hands of residents and business owners. To date, SLDC has received 110 applicants from the organization seeking to access the 37 million allocated to the Commercial Corridors Grant Program. Upon initial review of these applications, we saw the need to offer training and technical support to ensure all businesses applicants have the same opportunity to access capital. SLDC is working diligently to have those resources ready to implement as the board debates legislation. As a result, Board Bill 64, currently in committee, aims to reform the language within Board Bill 82, namely removing the aldermanic letter of support language. In addition, it would expand the geographic area to include within the commercial corridors currently along Delmar Boulevard and 26th Ward. One side of the street is eligible, the other side is not. The mayor's office also hopes by removing the need for an automatic letter of support, ethical concerns within the process will be minimized and the major barrier will be removed, allowing more stakeholders to apply for the grant money. So that's that. So now these let's see. Okay. Now, if everybody, I just clicked off, so I don't know how long y'all been in this room. So that was the rundown on what's at stake here right now. And so now the alderman that lost that has his name on a letter or whatever, because if that hadn't happened to him, all of this stuff would be way further in process. The money would already be in our hands. But somebody knew that they were about to get this money, and they did so much that they had to make sure they had to get people out of the paint. Okay, so I have another article that I'm tying this together. I just tweeted and kept at the top so I can remember it. There we go. Yeah, okay, so people know y'all. If y'all know me from spaces, y'all know a lot of times I tell people, and they think I be playing when I say this shit. You can meet me at the Murder Mobile. We got places like that in St. Louis. That's my son in the background. We have places called the Murder Mobile, and this is called the Shoot 'em Up Shell. Yeah, where people pump their gas with their gun in their hand. Honeycomb didn't start that. So, the St. Louis put Shoot 'em Up Shell on trial, calls for a year-long shutdown. And this is an old article, but I'm walking y'all backwards to how there's a connection to this money. This came out October 22nd. I mean October 21st, 2022. So just last fall, y'all, because we're in 2023. Okay. So St. Louis city officials put a notorious gas station in North St. Louis on trial Friday, and it called for it to be shut down for a year. They cast the Shell station at 2800 North Florissant as a crime magnet attracting drug dealing, robberies, and shootings. They claim the station's owners have shirked responsibility, refusing to hire security, and said the only proper remedy is to board it up. They have been held accountable, said Georgiana Expo, an assistant city councilor. The nuisance hearing came after the years of complaints from neighbors who called the station the Shoot 'em Up Shell. They said that it has traumatized the surrounding areas. Those complaints grew louder after police shot and killed a 16-year-old boy that last month. 16 years old. Chuck Billings, the attorney for the station owner, IBM Realty, dismissed the allegations as he misguided. He said the store didn't invite criminal behavior, but that it was inevitable in a high crime area. He added the employees routinely call the police to report crimes and cooperate with the investigations. Shutting down the station, he said, would just mean another boarded up building in North St. Louis. It wouldn't change one thing about crime in the neighborhood, he said. Hearing Officer Tom Yorbo did not immediately rule on the city's request Friday. He said he could be waiting on transcripts of hearing for 2 weeks and would need additional time to craft his decision. Opposition to the Shell station dates back at least 2000 to 2017, when some of its owners, including, listen to these names, Mohammed Al-Mutan, were indicted in federal court on charges of selling counterfeit cigarettes and synthetic drugs. Al-Mutan was later an informant in a federal bribery case against three former aldermen of the St. Louis Board of Aldermen. The city issued the store its first nuisance notice in 2018, citing issues with fights, cutting, drugs, and other unruly behavior. But on Friday, Echo, the city attorney, focused her case and her witnesses on the past 2 years. Police officers testified about how people had been shot at while sitting in their cars, walking across the lot, and running away. There was time they found a woman lying on the floor in the store and out of consciousness, suffering from gunshot wounds to her legs. And there was a time when they found a man fatally shot in the face. Janice Sanders, who owns a metalworking business near the station, described the brutal aftermath of the incidents, victims bleeding and suffering, loved ones distraught with grief, stress, and grief. There has been a lot of times when I've had to hold people, she said. She said she feared for her safety too. One time, one of the bullets from a shooting came through her workshop door. But if we had been there at the time, she said it would have hit us. Ekpo also asked the officers whether having security at the store might have made a difference, and multiple officers said yes. Who knows how many shootings could have been avoided, Ekpo asked. Billings pushed back on several points. He made note of every time police said their investigations were aided by reviewing security tapes provided by gas station employees. After one officer talked about an incident where someone had their car stolen after leaving it running in the station's parking lot. Billing asked if there was anything the gas station owners could have done about that. The officer says he don't think so. Billings also said it was unreasonable to expect the full-time security at the station the city wanted, and he said that his clients tried. The firm they used struggled to make people available. April took umbrage at that last point. She said the city has provided the station with a list of contractors, eight or nine, long and 8 or 9 pages long, and the stations hadn't made a real effort. That's the end of it. And the stations haven't made a real effort. So let's see. So yeah, what's up, Enough? I don't know if you was hearing me when I was reading this article, but let me and Purple Dot, y'all back. Yeah, y'all that's pretty much it. Now let me give you the more backstory, okay? So all of this shit, this dude, he's some type of Palestinian or some type of, I don't know what he is. He's an Arab. We just call them Arabs around here because there's so many of them. We don't know what the fuck they are. We just call them Arabs. So anyway, I even have some Arabs in my family. That's how much, yeah, shit crazy. But they not blood and all that shit. Get it straight. Yeah. Anyway, so these motherfuckers, all of their stores be hella fucked up places, and they do everything. They take part in the crime. They probably have they're basically the guys. It's coming through there. It's up at the high level, and they just let certain shit ride. People getting shot up and killed on that line, all of that. And like I say, that's not the only gas station like that in St. Louis. That's just the one that they just been prosecuting. The one up the street from my house is just like it. That's why I be telling people, think I be playing when I say you're gonna meet me there if you want to come to St. Louis for real, or another one much like it. Shit. Anyway, so that guy that has this going on, he the ones that snitched out the aldermen. He set them up. It was entrapment. It was not snitched out. He entrapped them because we all know, the details. If everybody, you gotta do your homework. The details was all three took $10,000. The details of it and all kinds, because they could, or whatever like that. That's just what the streets say. Who knows? But this nigga had 54 counts. 54 counts. The Arab man. Let me say this again, y'all. He had 54 4 counts. And see, they just talking about bootleg cigarettes and shit on that article. It's human trafficking in that shit and all kind of other shit. That dude had enough federal counts to where the Arab dude, he had enough federal counts to die, come back, and die again, and still probably wouldn't get out of jail. That dude, so he straight up and see somebody up the high level knew this money was coming, and they sent him at him, and they probably had and they he's walking around here right now. He's walking around here right now. Yeah, he's walking around here right now while 3 men that negotiated for our city and for our wars millions of dollars, and it was gonna get spent, I believe, right? And then that little hiccup comes, you know. And we got the hot races here. They gerrymandered the whole city to split it in half. So it's even more people fighting over the money because it's less territory now. So what's up, Miss Engagement? So it's wild. So I just opened up the space because I wanted to actually put that on record. Now that I see good family in here, I'm gonna shoot y'all the mics. And yeah, I should have put these in the jumbotron. I'm tripping. Oh yeah, I'm putting that one in the jumbotron. Hold on, and put the other one in the jumbotron. Hold on. There we go, Jumbotron. Those are 2 articles so y'all can read yourself. But then there's some pictures and this, and then I just read the articles. It's a little video to go with one of them, and y'all see how that shit is, man. Man, so I'm gonna mute the mic. Hold on. I'm gonna shoot your mic, Miss Engagement. Enough. Perp. What's up? What's up? What's up? Yeah, so I'm just doing some real reporting right now. What's going on, Purple Dog? Kansas City, I know the big game on.
Right, right, right. So I'm tapping in, but also watching the game. But no, I mean, I'm just a little, swole right now because why can everybody get their bag but us?
Exactly. Exactly. That's why I brought this to the family because this is a whole scheme on our money. Period. Because we shouldn't even be talking about this. We should let alone we not people always want to say stuff about we don't have people in place to do this and this and that and this and that. They wiped out the whole board, the president of the board, because they was all brothers. Because it's like that. It's like that. You know what I'm saying? I don't care what it is. We vet our coons, and I know what it is. You know what I'm saying? So they did a number on us with this money. And the thing about it is it's sitting there and this kid shit could be going to reparations. This fucking 37 million, this 37 million is going to the black Americans that actually lived in this war. It's like I think 2,000. Yeah, like 2,000 or 3,000. Yeah, actual people. But it's a big area. Man, they split it up between 2,000 people. That's some cash. But anyway, it's all, So I don't know, man. They've been scheming us money. That's why I'm saying they do. It's sitting there. It's just sitting there. Go ahead.
Hey, what's up, Mr. Conscious? Am I reading this correctly, brother man? That there was a shootout at a Shell gas station, and they continually to have this shut down for a year. Am I getting this right?
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's all. Yeah. All of yeah.
Then if he all scared and pussy, excuse my language, if he all scared and all that jazz, then how about he sell that bitch then? Let's start there. How about he sell that instead of driving down the property value in St. Louis? I'm just saying. Where's those liens that they put on businesses that ain't been that they ain't been operating and all that stuff? Where's those state liens at? Why they not taking his property? Like, let's go there, family. So yeah, I'm like, yeah, get them out of town. I think that's an early eviction notice.
Yeah, yeah. And like I said, they're immigrants. I mean, so they probably have kids, but none of them that owns these businesses were born here. They have children that's been around our children now, and they using and they leaking they poison into them. All of that, man. So that's why everybody have a different immigrant problem or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, we the ones that's always at the bottom of everything, and that shit is so dead. You know what I'm saying? That shit is so dead. But enough you busy. So I had to just
Oh
bring.
wait, enough was getting on me about my cat, yo. Like where's Shorty at, man? Yo, she need to report to the stage live.
So yeah, like I said, I just wanted to do that little bit. I want to do the reporting because then I'm gonna probably at the board alderman or something like that. Just like yeah, I've been tweeting. I've tweeted my mayor. I've tweeted my mayor a few times. You know what I'm saying? And yeah. So I had
Man, we got King Detective Vino in that building. I saw him come through with the magnifying glass, making sure there ain't no dirt underneath the fingertips on these clowns.
oh, it's more coming. It's another one dropping in a minute. I can't tell you. That's all I can say. Got another one about to drop. It's gonna blow everybody's top. I'm telling you. Oh shit. Yeah, there you go. I said another. Yeah, yeah. He let him talk.
The ghost of Brother Vino.
You tapped in right on time, bro. I finished the article up. It's in the jumbotron. Like I said, it's kind of outlaw media. Ooh, ooh, ooh. It's about
Heads up, Monday, my show for that bloodline business with Chef is gonna be debuting. So I just want to give you guys a heads up. Monday. So check y'all YouTube feeds.
bet. I'm subscribed to his YouTube. You know what I'm saying? So it's about to be. I started this a little bit after 5. And it's 5:30 and Vino pops in right at 5:30. And they wouldn't even let me come on at 5. You gotta Vino 5:30. I'm liking a lot of these numbers I'm seeing. It's 6:30 Eastern Standard Time, 5:30 Central Standard Time, 4:30 Mountain Standard Time, 3:30 Pacific Standard Time, Outlaw Media Time Check, January 21st.
Oh, brother Conscious, they are trying to gerrymander you guys so you can't get no money. That's what the delay is really about. They're trying to make sure that y'all ain't getting shit. That's fucked up.
That's exactly what happened. Listen, the redrawing of the lines and shit is so real. Even the state senator got her lines redrew and had to fight a different type of political race because it's Carla May. I've met her.
Wait. Don't no lawyers in the communities not pushing back on that per se? They're not like what are these bootleg lawyers doing?
Out being with the white people, enjoying their money, profiting off the same things to make them white people. The coons. We got coon. I'm telling you, look. Y'all think y'all got coons anywhere in the country? Don't got no coons better than Missouri. Missouri got the top A1 best coons on the planet.
They got the Ace Boom Coons out there.
The Ace Boom coons here, especially man. Whoo! Them motherfuckers, man. And they super swirl her. They super swirl her. Nigga, we the swirl capital. I'll put some money on it. Denver got a close, but with the amount of black Americans here and yeah. Yeah. I know too. I went to school with too many people that swirled out.
How can they feel comfortable swirling in Missouri, knowing the history of like Missouri ain't a state that you should be swirling in, family. No state you should be swirling in, respectfully. But like Missouri, fam, like seriously.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
you might end up with a clan member's daughter. You playing around with that shit.
Oh,
Like, nah, like it'll be a scene from Get Out.
exactly. We don't know how many they done like that for real. You know? So yeah, like I said, like I said, I just had to open up the space. It came across. I had a great night last night. Enough had a great space. I went to sleep, woke up on time, went to work, had a great day, came back. Like yeah, and this came across my news break feed when I was on the way to work. And I said, "What the fuck?" Yeah, because I knew about this 37 million, but had nobody wrote no articles or talking about it, but now you're talking about it. So, man, I really be doing this shit, man. I don't know about what
Bro,
nobody else.
slow that down, brother. Conscious. You should have went and been talking about that 37 million. Like, we got to be ahead of the white media.
Yeah, I'm only one man. I got a lot of things like hey, I'm trying to set up some vehicles for the family, like my .com, my kindnessoutlaw.media.com is some real shit. Like I said, Twitter gonna delete me eventually. I'm telling you. Because when I get really, when y'all see me getting really, start really going in on the white supremacists, y'all gonna watch them delete me. They, and then, but I'm gonna have all y'all coming to me. I'm setting up all kind of shit, but I gotta. This is chestnut checkers. Real talk. This is chestnut checkers. What's up, Black Native? I need somebody to dialogue with me. Can you pick up the mic?
Oh, I ain't shit now, Conscious. I ain't shit. The black man ain't shit.
Nah. But it's some energy too. You know what I'm saying? It's some energy with the female. We're gonna balance some shit
Oh,
out.
I'm just playing Conscious. I'm just joking, family. I'm just joking.
Actually came in perfect for this broadcast. You made
Enough, Mr. Enough, and the sister at the bottom.
I'm not Mr.
Yeah, I
Enough. I'm
understand.
not
Hold
married to
on,
Mr. Enough. I'm a David
decline
Love.
this. Can you hear me?
yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
then I'm
that's
gonna have
right.
to decline that call that was coming through. Yeah, I hold back a lot on these spaces because if I really say what I really want to say, yeah, I'll be arrested right now. Yeah, and my birthday is Monday.
So
I'm an
Enough with that white
Aquarius.
thumbs up. That thumbs down had me laughing. That white thumbs down that Enough had. Yo, that shit came from left field.
I'm gonna yeah, we got some more of the family in the room. So thank you, Linus, for joining us. I know if you want to speak, you're always welcome. I actually put this article, so it's a recorded space. In the beginning of I actually read out the article, but it's in the Jumbotron. It's actually a short video, and I was putting a connection of this 37 million and actually an Arab immigrant, you know what I'm saying, came in here and this 37 million is sitting around and I can't get my trash picked up. I can't get my grass cut. You know what I'm saying? I live in the city. So, you know, it's deep, you know what I'm saying? So I just shared that article up there. You know, I really work, I do really work. So no matter what anybody has to say, I work. So I was just adding us, putting this in the algorithm, this 37 million, linking the fact that it's still sitting there. And if this hadn't happened, we would have that money spent. Like it would have already been out. It would already been out here. We would already doing something. It would already been adding to our whatever. So
So
um,
that's resource deprivation. I think that's something that should be brought up to, like, that should be brought up in a court. That should be disputed in court. All jokes aside, or intervention with the UN on top of that, like, because that's a city, family. That's a lot of people. But when you look at it, and then you also look at it like the genocidal effect, like, what is the end result of that community not getting that 37 million? You're saying that there's trash now. There's trash over the place now. It can cause infections. You can, like, the possibilities are endless.
Yep. And like I said, if this indictment hadn't happened, if this entrapment hadn't happened, and everybody, I'm just saying the whole scenario. I'm not making any judgments on the scenario. I'm just placing out the facts, and everyone can come to their own conclusion. And I just had to let everybody understand that if somebody walks away with 54 counts of all kind of things, including human trafficking, but they turn around and send three black men to jail for one crime, and they happen to be in politics, and they happen to have been around when a lot of money was set on the table. Yeah. So, so I just wanted everybody to, I want everybody to be aware of this, because we're going through an odd election cycle right now. Um, my alderman, she took the spot of one of the men that was indicted, and she's fighting for her reelection to hold on to that seat for 4 more years, where she can have a very real impact, because she's a business owner, and she's been a business owner for over 40 years. You know what I'm saying? And we have other people that's just in politics to get money and haven't done anything. And the actual person that fought to make sure that 37 million goes to this ward with the old 22nd, which is now they fighting because at the election time it turns to the 13th. And they've made three black women that were two of them were already sitting aldermen fight against each other for one Democratic primary, for one
Ooh,
Democrat.
that's cutthroat.
That's some deep. I want y'all to digest that. One for one, and so and in the special election, the alderman that I know, she actually, um, it was some dirty politics went with that. Her opponent got endorsed by the mayor, and wasn't supposed to do that. And I was there to witness it live in time with the whole thing. I was there, so you know, and this is gonna be a very important March 7th here in the city. That's the primary. Now there's other the actual election is in April, but in St. Louis, a Democrat is going to a Democratic nomination is like that's the win. Ain't nobody gonna vote for no Republican nothing. Ain't nobody gonna vote for no Republican nothing. So if you got anybody just run to be a Republican just on there, a lot of times it's uncontested. So
Hey, Conscious, can I ask you, because I'm not from um St. Louis is like considered what, the Midwest kind of?
yes, it is.
Okay, so alderman, because I know they have them in Chicago. Is that something underneath the mayors? What do they actually? Is it just like a spokesperson
They're
for
city
that
council,
certain?
man.
Okay, city councils
Exactly.
for
That's just
certain
that.
for certain areas. I
Yes.
guess in Chicago. I mean, what's the power that they actually have in the communities that they represent?
Okay, so basically, these people are the mayor's check. That's because we have a check and balance system. They're the mayor's check. Their power, they can nullify anything, and it's politics is the game. I don't give anybody a politics lesson, but they make sure that no one can do one without the other, kind of like a marriage. So, but it's more people, more attitudes, and the mayor holds a much more power than all of those people put together. But it's not really like that. It's this deep. But anyway, so basically and that's a very interesting point too. We had 28 wards. This is going to be the first year they've cut all of our wards in half, and we have 14 wards now. and the ward will be, whatever that, just like a ward. That's how you know how old this city is. Like that, like in New Orleans, they have wards. For y'all heard Juvenile, third ward, fourth ward. Yeah, we the same way. We got 28 wards, just jump down to 14. So now the 14 wards, they sitting here fighting against now and all those wards there are the white areas to get all the money. The white areas don't look, and I said it, the white areas don't look shit like where I live. But it's the whole same city. And a whole government, same shit. Saying so the 14 wards split down, so all across the board, all of these people that wouldn't have had to run against each other, that were and where it was spread out, they got to fight each other now. They literally got two sitting aldermen from last session about to fight for the same seat, and they have another person that was actually who won the seat in the fight too. So I don't know if y'all can hear that music. That's my neighbor. Uh, shit. Hey, can y'all hear this? Damn, this nigga is loud as fuck. So anyway, so that's the layout of the alderman. The alderman council people. That's all. That's just different words. Just like how they had council people. The same council people was in L.A. It's just a different word. They play with words because they devils. What's up, Melinda? AW. So, um, like I said, I've been replaying this whole story that's happening in live in real time here in St. Louis with some articles linked and everything like that. So, anybody welcome to speak. Black Native, you got? Did I answer the question good enough?
Yeah, you answered it. It's just like I always hear, the aldermans and wards. I'm from New York, so we just had a mayor who controlled the five boroughs, and I'm in North Carolina, and we don't have that type of I guess infrastructure or how the cities are run. So I always hear about it, but I didn't really know what was an alderman, what was his position. So you answered it. Thank you, Conscious.
And so let me do some linking. So, like you said, that's the Midwest thing because we have an aldermanic race up there in Chicago that Mr. Gabe Piemonte decided to lift his head up, and it's weird, So I think there is a changing of the guard right now. The shift, people don't understand what the shift really is. It's yeah, she putting it down. They trying to change it. They try. Yeah, come on, holler at me. What's the thumbs down? I gotta hear you. I gotta understand because yeah, there shouldn't be a changing of a guard. Maybe I'm a little pessimistic.
I don't know who you're speaking about, but did you hear about I call her Uncle because Uncle Lori Lightfoot in the black community, I don't know where it's at in Chicago, said, hey, you know what? We don't want all these immigrants coming into our community, and they came together, and they was coming up against Uncle Lightfoot. Have you heard about that?
No, not really, because my shit's so deep down here. So hey, Linus, how you doing? I'll see you glad to grab the mic. Let me understand with the thumbs down. Let me
Peace.
know.
Yeah, because you mentioned the devil, and I had to give a thumbs down. I don't even want to say his name. You say it 3 times, and he might show up or block somebody. Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. But shout out to you, Brother Conscious, and everybody in the room. I'm actually sitting here doing some work. And when you mentioned his name, it was a trigger. In one of those audios he did, I played the clip for Mr. Palmer, the other candidate who's running against him for alderman. And I played the part where he was talking about taking back a particular section in that Fifth Ward in Chicago, where he claimed the Pan Africanists, such as Conrad Worrell, would go and have breakfast. Well, that's my late chairman emeritus for my organization. I'm actually doing some work right now for the organization. He did tremendous work organizing in Chicago. So just when he even brought up Dr. Conrad Worrell's name, by the way, it was highly disrespectful. So it was just a coincidence that I'm actually doing organizational work. And then you mentioned Gabe, which, yeah, I just saw a picture of my late chairman. He passed away in 2020. But did a lot of work organizing in Chicago and then also nationally within the Black liberation movement. He was a Pan-Africanist. The organization is 44 years old, National Black United Front. And also they did a lot of international work as well, trying to end, well, not trying to, but working to end apartheid, meeting with foreign dignitaries, and then definitely striving for equal rights and justice for Black folks at home and abroad. It's a lot of new blood in the organization, such as myself. And I personally don't see a conflict between the global Pan-Africanist, mission to end racism, white supremacy, and then fighting for, equity and justice for my lineage politically and primarily at home. So I just wanted to say that. But you mentioned Beetlejuice's name, so I had to come up here and just shout you out. But I'm grateful for this room, and thank you for the space and for allowing me to speak.
Thank you for gracing the stage. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And you hit it out the park when you said that. I hope everybody picked it up. I don't want to regurgitate your words. I hope they picked it up. So, and Black Native, you got it.
Hey, Lioness. Hey, peace, sister. I still haven't been in a space. Well, I was in a space with this Italian American, and it was for about a hot 2 minutes. But from what I understand, he's actually been up in these spaces and tweeting, antagonizing Black Americans, the people that he claims that he's supposed to be representing for reparations. And I heard that he actually said something insulting to you. Now, I've hit him up in tweets for us to have a conversation between the Black community, the relationship between the Black community and the Italian community. He never responds. So he's kind of dodging that conversation. What actually happened in the space that you were in with this Italian who's perpetrating, who has a Black wife, and he thinks that he could represent Black people because he's sleeping with a Black woman?
Thank you, Sister Black Native. Well, let me see. The space happened and y'all realize that it's only the 21st day of the new year, right? So this foolery has been going on for basically 3 weeks now with this whole Gabe situation. I'm going to preface this by saying by the end of 2022, I was putting out tweets and saying people don't want to bring in certain energy into this year. This is a 7-year. The 7-year is a year of transformation, but it's also a year of all negative ego must die, which is why we're seeing a lot of people be exposed and they're revealing themselves. But either way, a few weeks ago, Brother Prime, I think his name is Prime Reparationist, he had a space. I think it was Prime Friedman. I forget his handle, but he had a space and it was about Dr. Sandy Darity's book, the second edition, From Here to Equality. And Gabe was in there on the stage. So I went in and I addressed him. I read 3 of his tweets. And then I told him that whatever response he has is not a dialogue. I do not want him to address me. But as far as I know, there was no disrespect. I pointed out the anti-Blackness and the antagonism in his tweets. He agreed. However, he white-splained. And then after that, he blocked me. So I guess, I don't know, maybe he was embarrassed or butthurt. But there was no exchange between he and I. I didn't hear any disrespect, but I can go back and listen to that. After that, he just blocked me. But he continued to make very disrespectful tweets. And a lot of people that look like us are actually supporting him in his, excuse my language, fuckery and anti-Blackness. So I called it out directly. And, there's just we have to really set some boundaries in terms of how we allow people to address us or to interact in our community. I personally do not have any allies. I mean, I guess white people or people who are not us can be allies or support our causes, but we have to determine exactly how that operates. But I'm just really of the mind that for real, all we got is us. But other folks have enabled this individual. And so I can pretty much guarantee that he has probably gone through life as a white man, being rewarded for possibly being the cool liberal, quote unquote, so to speak, in spaces, and has gotten away with egregious anti-Black racism or behavior because people think it's cute, and or because a lot of people have internalized white supremacy and that they don't feel or see his behavior as treacherous. I take offense to it. I let him know I took offense to it. It was a very civil, statement that I made, but I made it clear that, like, I set boundaries, so I don't have to deal with white folks or anybody really at all, ever, unless I choose to, or it benefits me or the community in some way. But I let him know that he was not going to engage in a conversation or discourse to me. It was me talking at him and setting a boundary with him. So however that was like translated or whatever happened after that, it just happened. But I just know that, he offered a disingenuous so-called apology, but basically like white splaining his behavior of those tweets that I read to him. And then he blocked me, and then the fuckery continued to ensue. So at this point, we just have to carry on with the mission of focusing on our reparations, gatekeeping our culture, controlling the narrative, and making sure that we set the standard and the parameters in terms of how outsiders interact with us. I hope that answers your question.
It does. Thank you, sister. I was in that space, but I came in, I would say maybe 5 minutes towards the end. And I heard him when he was giving, I guess, his last statements or what have you. And he reminded me of Sean King. Sean King is a white man pretending to be Black. I'm sorry. I call him Talcum X. Been following this man for quite some time. He has a Black wife. He has Black children. He's pretty much been monopolizing off of Black misery. He stole scholarships, I believe, from Black people that was at Morehouse, if I'm not mistaken. But when I heard him speak, it kind of reminded me of Sean King. He kind of had like this sort of trying to sound Black dialect. It was in Prime Space. And then after that, it ended. So I never heard what actually happened. But then I saw the tweet that he said, "I'm Freedman first. Are you mad? Are you mad?" It was something to that effect. So I'm like, okay, so you allowed an Italian man. I grew up around Italians in Bensonhurst, Brooklyn. I know how they operate. Into our spaces to try to be a mouthpiece for our people. And then he goes and sends tweets like he's antagonizing the so-called people that he's supposed to represent. We can't have that. If one or two people invited him, and I heard also when they were trying to vet him in certain spaces, the Black people or our people were being told that we couldn't ask him certain questions. And I'm like, why not? Because everybody else who came in our spaces, we vetted them thoroughly and it wasn't a problem. So why now? It's because we have a white Italian man in here. We're supposed to, treat him with kid gloves. It don't work like that. He doesn't need to be our mouthpiece. If he wants to be in our spaces, he has to respect us, and he has to respect all of us, not one or two people who are vouching for this man. That's not how it works when we're dealing with reparations. And I appreciate you clarifying what happened, because I thought he insulted you. So when I heard that, I was kind of going at him in tweets, but I'm glad that he didn't. And you said you were the one who controlled the narrative, and I'm glad to hear that. Thank you, sister.
Thank you. Yeah. See, I don't, first of all, I'm not going to be in a back and forth conversation with white folks or anybody else about Black business. Thirdly, I'm just not going back and forth with the European about anything Black. And so I can say what I have to say and they can listen or sit with it or not like it, but it's not a conversation. So I was very clear in terms of that. In the way that I handled him, though, it was very I would say it was masterful. It was very professional. I facilitate conversations about racism to a bunch of different, people from all walks of life and all races professionally. I I've trained thousands of people literally from around the country on talking about anti-Black racism and undoing racism, as well as like other things that I do. But what I will say is Gabe didn't attack me or make any say anything disrespectful to me, but I got attacked by my own people for checking a European who was out of order for being in Black business and instigating racial politics. Identity politics within our own group. And so I'm used to that. I mean, listen, a lot of people didn't like the way I handled the whole National Reparations League thing. There's a whole backstory to that leading up to that space that should have never happened. But that's water under the bridge. I don't need to go there. But when I see BS and I smell BS, it's BS. I'm gonna call it out. Everybody gets vetted. I don't care who vouches for who. Like, everyone has to make their own decision in terms of who we gravitate towards or who we want to endorse. So the same way that I went at, Rashad, and Naheem got mad because he's like, oh, you trying to, I said I don't give a damn who you vouch for. I'm going to be stern. I'm going to be consistent, and you don't have to like it. And so this was the same approach that I use in public, the same approach that's used behind closed doors. If I'm, negotiating or doing something else, when you're vetting is vetting. And I kept that same energy, right? We have to keep that same energy with everybody, especially someone who's not of our lineage. Like, it's not rocket science. I think that the most disappointing part about all of this is that we literally have our own people, some of our own people, that will literally sell us down the river for their own benefit, whether it be monetary benefit, whether it's for attention, whether it's for notoriety, maybe it's for, somebody doing them a solid, later on down the line. And this is the general condition of our people, not just here on Twitter, not just within this situation, but even within the younger generations. We have a lot of work to do. A white person steps into the room and they're allowed to get away with egregious behavior, but we're ready to run each other down and not give each other any grace or the benefit of the doubt. But the European can come in and just completely unleash hell, and everyone's turning the other cheek. I'm not about that life. I wasn't raised that way. I've been very consistent. I'm going to continue to be consistent. And so at the end of the day, Gabe is Italian first. He's white first. He's not Freedman first. And anything for anyone to say that he is, or to give him that level of benefit of the doubt, is very dangerous. I'm going to land my plane there. I don't want to talk too much, but thank you.
Oh, you did perfect. That was hey, you hit that one out the park. I'm loving it.
Peter Paul Freeman. Peter Paul Freeman.
So that was I'm so glad that all of these things are being flushed out. We have to stay this hard line. I really believe we have to stay this hard line. Somebody has to, really. Nobody with that pasty white skin should be trying to talk for us at this time and this day and what's at stake. Period. Anybody with road, I don't, man. When we talking about this, when we talking about who you love and all that stuff. When we talking about this, our money, our bag. Mm. Go ahead, Mr. Engagement.
Yeah. I don't think Gabe donated any black causes, including Freeman causes like that. That was one of the things that I've been trying to find. I've heard that Brother Vino is on the case. He said that he's getting underneath the fingernails and getting all the dirt on these fellas. So salute to him for doing his good work as always and his due diligence. So I feel comfortable and I could sleep at night. Like, real talk, like, this dude is out here running reckless in our community, and I'm not really feeling that at all. He feel like he's entitled to be in the space, family. Like, come on now. He's not even a part of the lineage. He felt entitled to be in Dr. Darity's book, family. But Dr. Claude Anderson, they don't want to work with Dr. Claude Anderson. That don't sit well with me. That's always been a problem with that whole conversation since the ADOS days. That was one of the things. It's like, where's that book? I want to see Dr. Darity and Dr. Claude Anderson do a book together on reparations. I don't want to see no other people but black people that are certified on that book. Because I think that will cover some of that Dr. Claude Anderson can definitely cover some of the ground and actually making sure that this is airtight. I don't think Dr. Darity got that type of juice. I don't think he wants to keep it airtight. And that's just my opinion based off the books that I read, his material.
We'll see. That's how deep it goes because we have two mindsets. There's economic mindsets that understand economics and what has been done with us and how it develops here, and they trying to pit them against them. Think about that. I'm gonna land right there.
It's basically a black separatist, do for self, self-determination, powernomics mindset, right? That Dr. Claude Anderson has that makes him a threat. That has been making him a threat for decades, literally, in this work, which is why they will try to act like or pretend like he doesn't exist or hasn't existed or made tremendous contributions to our community, to Black society, and to the Black economy, really, as a whole, right? And then you have other folks, right, that are coming from a more so bureaucratic, establishment, integrationist mindset. So we have to really break down the ideologies between who these thought leaders are and why some of us, gravitate towards Dr. Claude Anderson and not other folks. But, in order for us, this is why the cultural, historical, political education piece is so important, because we really have to, these aren't just names, or they're just not just books, that were just written out of nowhere. We got to look at the people and the track record, like who are, these thought leaders, how did they, what has been their contribution within Black society? What has been their experience within Black society? And really think about it and look at it and analyze it from that perspective, and not just because someone's just throwing someone's name around. If we haven't really investigated or read their books or come to know their work or their careers or their track records, that's also a level of vetting that has to take place. So I'm really clear in terms of why, many of us, we gravitate towards Dr. Claude Anderson, and why other folks may gravitate towards other people. And I'm not trying to, disparage anyone or be disrespectful in any
No, no,
way.
no, I understand. I just find it very upsetting that like Dr. Darity will go out. I'm gonna put a name on it because I was around when the first report came out and all that nonsense. And like real talk, like I the report itself was good. Like he explained about lineage and racial wealth gap, and that's very, very important. But the thing that kind of concerns me is when other groups of people, you're willing to work with other groups of people, but not Black American people. We need to be putting our people first in these type of positions, and advocate for them. And that was my only concern, because I don't like Dr. Claude Anderson. He's getting up there in age, respectfully, and I want him to have his roses now because he deserves it now, not after the fact, And I'm gonna leave it like that.
Yeah, Linus, I gave you that because I had to walk down the street, and I need somebody to hold the co-host up for me for a quick second. Twitter be hating, and I'm recording this space. I don't use my Wi-Fi because they jank up my Wi-Fi and make me sound like robots, so I have to wear my mobile data out. This shit crazy.
Absolutely. But yeah, y'all, all of this is transpiring, and we are only 21 days into the new year. So imagine what the rest of the year is going to be like. But this is our good news, because, we see what's ahead of us and the work that actually needs to be done.
Yo, Sister Linus Crown, when you gonna go back on the airways again? I miss your shows in the afternoon when I had to study in college. I was hitting those books. That was my breakaway from them white institution, them WPI educational textbooks. Can you please tell me when you're coming back on the YouTube streets?
It'll be very soon. I would say before the springtime. I was doing a lot of traveling last year, a lot of clients, doing a lot of work. A lot of folks are always, trying to, let me just say this. Those of us who do real work, we're not like broadcasting like, oh, I did this and I did that. Like, no, you just actually get busy and you do it. And I really enjoyed the content that I was putting out, but there was a point where I was just like, okay, I'm reading all these horrible stories about what's happening in Black society, how the media is misrepresenting us, and what the police are doing. And I was also doing like boots on the ground interviews and on the fly interviews and coverage, but I really felt like I needed to devote a lot of my time to like doing policy and organizing, and that's why I took a break from it. But I'm ready to get back. I feel like I have a good balance. I can pretty much balance both right now, but I needed a break from that because you just sitting and reading. Let me just tell you my experience. I was waking up every day and I was following the news stories and seeing what was happening about two Black people, what people were saying about Black people every day, and it was a bunch of negativity. And then after a while, it felt very disempowering for me personally to cover it from a lens that would elevate the conversation or try to make it constructive. And so I was just like, you know what? Instead of just reading about this stuff and talking about this stuff, I need to be outside more or doing more work or in more meetings to try to have a level of policy change or systemic change. And then also supporting people in our community who actually do a lot of great work. Like our brother Riza Islam is doing a lot of great work around advocating for the vaccine injured and exposing, all of these different agendas and things that have, gone on out there. And so, it's been an honor and a privilege for me to really support those types of initiatives as well, because we see what's happening in the reparations movement. We see what's happening politically to our people, but there's so many different levels of oppression that we got to dig through, that I wanted to diversify my focus for a little bit, more than just being on air. But I'll be back. Thank you, though, for supporting.
No, I just love your work. I love your content. It's inspiring. I love having my nephew seeing Black women of excellence giving us the news and stuff that we need to be aware of out in society. It's very important that our young Black men and our young Black boys get their education from Black women as well. So like it's very, very important. So they won't fall into the traps of falling in love with other people, but fall in love with their own. So with that being said, I want to say thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. And we also have Cash coming to the stage. It says Cash is trying to connect. Anybody else want to come up while our brother Conscious is out buying a black amount?
Bring Vino up. Bring Vino up.
Hey, Vino. Okay, let me see where Vino at. Let me see. Anybody else want to come up? Feel free. And when Conscious comes back from making a cigarette run to the store, I'm joking, I'm going to have to hop off because I got to get back to work. Cash, we bringing you, trying to bring you up again.
I ain't heard from you, brother, in a minute. Cash's game, the Tesla fella.
Go ahead, Cash.
Peace. Yes.
I was gonna bring him up. I couldn't remember who he was. Yeah. What's up, Cash?
It was good. Just keeping up with the chat. I was gonna pin up above the San Francisco the San Francisco Reparations Task Force released a draft report of ways that we could be compensated financially for enslavement and things we've survived since. They got to a number of $5 million as a lump sum payment, as well as 250 years of income that's set to the area median income of the area in San Francisco, which is, I believe, 97,000. It would change each year. It would go up and down depending on the cost of living there. There's also a debt forgiveness part to it that mentions education loan cancellation, mortgage loan cancellation, credit card, payroll, payday loan, a lot of different things like that. I just wanted to really just highlight that for those who are keeping up in the reparations movement, because they've essentially upped the numbers. And someone who's on this San Francisco task force is also on the California task force. So if, whatever happens in San Francisco, he already knows about these numbers being suggested and will be able to strengthen the entire state of California's numbers that, everyone there is meant to be offered. And again, like that figure of 5 million as a lump sum is piquing people's interest, peaking eyebrows, something that we can bring up in conversation and just let our people know that it's coming. And we need to have numbers comparable in New York or in whatever state you are as well. Just make sure you keep the numbers high.
Hey, brother, I got a question about all that. Respectfully, you said there was somebody from the same task force on the other one. How's that? How's that cool, and why is that acceptable? Is it good for them to be in multiple baskets on reparation cases? Because like, what if there's an individual that might not, for hypothetically, might be against lineage base? Now they're not on one committee; they're on two committees. You dig what I'm saying?
In the state of California, its constitution is against race-based politics. So he can be on 10 task force, but he can't do no race-based reparations in California. I actually think it's a good thing because I was worried that I would have to bite size what this draft report says of 60 pages in order to present it to the entire state of California through the AB 3121 task force. Seeing that there's someone who already knows about it because he's on the California one, I think it's a win-win. Another thing is he's, in my understanding, born and raised in San Francisco. I'd prefer if he was on that one than the AB 3121 because this one seems to be moving faster, and at least they dropped actual numbers that we can speak to. So again, I was gonna say, I was gonna call into the California task force to say San Francisco's offering $5 million. What y'all finna say? But again, the dude who who offered the 5 million is sitting on that task force, who's also on the California one. So I just think it's time that we would have to spend that we can, use on something else, like arguing to see lineage based or not.
All right, cool. Then my other question was just like, on top of that, did they factor in inflation as well as the COVID, and that's the reason why the numbers are fluctuating? Because I know that Dr. Darity wrote the book prior to pre-COVID, so and those numbers are pre-COVID. Due to the effect of COVID, inflation, and other things of that nature, is that the core reason why those numbers have changed? If you mind me asking, I'm not familiar with I haven't seen it yet, so I'm just picking around some of these questions
No,
about
they
that.
said that they calculated multiple different harms that San Franciscans had survived, including housing discrimination, environmental racism. And this is a guy named Rico who was a part of the task force. He said that once they, quantified everything and kind of put it together, it was like a little bit over $5 million per person. And they said that with the change left over, because they wanted that 5 million to be an even number, with the change left over, they wanted that to be a reoccurring payment. And an elder in the room was like, a lady, by the way, said that it needed to be for 250 years, since that's how long, we were oppressed. And so, but she didn't want to say just let's make it a set number like $100,000, because what's 100,000? In 10 years it might be worth just 50,000. Instead, they tied it to the area median income. So if the cost of living in San Francisco is 97,000, then that's the number that we would receive each year. If it goes up, then that number goes up too. But you're right, we need to tie it to inflation as well. To keep it simple, we need to double the number. For cost of living, for late fees, pain and suffering. You know what I'm saying? It shouldn't even be close to just
Well,
surviving or living off of poverty. I like the 250 years. We can make that 400. You know what I'm saying? Just little things. We got to call into this task force and tell them what time it is instead of just letting them.
yeah, the reason why I brought up COVID is because there was an article that went out that talked about specifically about black men, and that they lost like a couple of years of life expectancy off of that. There was no policy to improve our condition as black men due to the fact of COVID and stuff of that nature. So that's the reason why I'm talking about COVID pay and all this other stuff, and how that should be factored in, and why it should be factored in, and why we should have more money.
You know what? Let me round it out because the 37 million that's sitting and I can't get my reparations. Outlaw Media is exactly why I made this room. That COVID money then got people going, wow. And then we find out it's a hoax and it was fake and all, man. Yeah, I had to jump in there on that one. So I'm glad everybody tweet out the room, y'all, because I don't do rooms often, and I do try to do rooms that are informative as much as possible. That's why I don't do them often. Check out this article that I have in the Jumbotron. It's 37 million sitting right outside my house in the government that they haven't spent because of a lot of fuck shit. but we still fighting it and telling them, can y'all give us the money y'all owe us, please? And let me get a white man to talk for me. Like, what the fuck? I'm sorry. It's Saturday night.
Hey man, some people think the white man ice is colder. Dr. Claude Anderson told him that was wrong.
But we had delved into a deep conversation where they're already trying to make a split between the Sandy Darity and the Claude Anderson energy. Because that's how I'm talking now. They trying to pit them two energies against each other because that's the last of it. Because they know they oh shit.
Can I ask how that or when that conversation came up? Did that come up in a Twitter space recently?
No. That came on like one of his podcasts with him talking to Dr. Boyce. He was talking about in the guise of the Negro Leagues, like how black people were switching over, and he said that again, black people thinking that he was using that as an analogy, and that's what I was saying. Dr. Claude Anderson has spoken on that, and our black people, because we didn't back the Negro Leagues, that we hurt ourselves economically, and that was kind of the backdrop of the whole of what I was talking about.
Got
Not
it.
to denigrate, not never to denigrate Dr. Claudence. I'm a
Oh
major
yeah. No,
fan.
no, no. I
Yeah,
didn't
I'm
I
a
didn't
major
get
fan.
that. I was just wondering if people on this app were starting to pit the two against each other or if I missed anything. I have my own opinion, which I stated before, but I just wasn't sure if there was something else that,
I look at it as I look at it as Lions Crown as two different schools of thoughts. Like I'm familiar with both, but I just prefer Dr. Claude Anderson because I think that he resonates more with me. As like for like how I go about my civic projects, how I go about engaging with the public, business owners, stuff like that. That's a tool of Dr. Claude Anderson. I didn't get that type of. I more got like the data and the information or like the backlog information or like that. I look at that's what I got from Dr. Darity. It's no shot or diss. It's just two different approach. I look at one is more hands on and more is one collegiate and dealing with scholarship, two different ball games. So like that's and one's talking about from more of a historical context and supporting with historical, while the other one's talking about just numerical and data. And then they support it with the historical context. And in the historical context they use, they're more or less talking about like the data's in the spreadsheet. They're not really talking about what was lost and how it really affected the people per se. It was more like you get where I'm going at.
absolutely. Yep. I'm in total agreement.
Yeah, I'm still like I like his book, but it's I just picked up all five of Dr. Claude Anderson book. I'm just gonna go right through them again.
Yeah, you posted my rehab. I had reposted that. So no,
Oh,
there's
oh,
no there.
wait, conscious. Can we slow that down for 2 seconds? You know
Yeah,
that Dr. Claude Anderson got a Pacific Order, and you're supposed to read those books, family. I don't want to bust it out, family, but it's a specific order in which you're supposed to read those books so you can get the right context. So if you're reading Powernomics or just picking that book up off the shelf and not reading the other books in order and sequential, you're reading it out of context and you're not reading in how the image in which the author wants the information conveyed. And that's matters. You just can't pick books off the shelf and just mix and match and put things out of order and put things out of context. That's a no-go. You gotta follow out the steps in which he have already laid down. So I just wanted to share that with people because people just grab like Black Labor, White Wealth and Powernomics off the shelf and they run in a marathon. No, there's like two other books ahead of that and two other books prior to that, and you got to get a DVD. So you got to go through the whole thing, family.
yeah, you do. You do. You have to
One
examine all.
thing, one thing that my I was taught by my elders. One is the reward for good work is more work. I'll say it again. The reward for good work is more work. You don't get accolades. You don't get a pat on the back. You don't get a trophy. You get more work to do. You get more responsibility. So imagine that. The other thing is, and this is what Dr. Conrad Worrell, may he rest in power, he taught us is that scholarship, activism, and organizing go hand in hand. Scholarship, activism, and organizing go hand in hand. You can't be an activist if you're not organized. You can't be an organizer if you haven't engaged in a proper level of scholarship. You can't be a scholar and have any sort of change if you're not using that scholarship to advocate or to organize. So those three, that's like the holy trinity in terms of how we have to move and take this movement: scholarship, activism, and organizing. Right? So we have to be disciplined in terms of our studies, but we can't just sit around and read books for the sake of reading books and debating these ideas. We have to actually get out there and do something. Activism. And if we want it to be effective and have long-term change, we have to be organized and have a flow or a strategy in terms of how we're reaching our goal. So those are the things that I'm sitting with today as I'm literally doing my work and chopping it up with y'all on a Saturday night. But yeah, I mean, it's dangerous just to hear people's names or hear certain concepts and cherry pick information and then try to use that to go out and impact change. We have to discipline ourselves to really read, like the brother Mr. Engaging was saying, and go within order and devote time to it, right? Or else we're going to be misinformed. And we don't have to reinvent the wheel. Our elders and our ancestors came before us for a reason. Now, we don't have to agree with all the decisions they made or how they did what they did, but what they did with how they did what they did maybe served them in their time, because the world was different at that time. I try to, be respectful and very mindful of that as a younger person in this work. However, what I'm saying is we don't have to reinvent the wheel, right? Dr. Claude Anderson, for example, he laid it all out. Dr. John Henrik Clarke, he laid it all out. Dr. Amos Wilson, right? The blueprint for Black Power, they laid it all out for us. Now we get to pick up those tools, we get to study, and we get to adapt, because society has changed, but we got to learn from history. But if we're not learning from our master teachers or our elders or our ancestors, then we're doomed to repeat the same mistakes. So I'm gonna land my plane there.
I gotta come right behind it and say, like, we have to, like Dr. Francis Chris Wilson, rest in power. Too many of our young daughters don't know this lady. I got a book coming to my college student right now. She should be getting it in a day or two. We have to arm our generation, our lineage with knowledge, because it's been hid from us for so long. That's why we have so much trauma now. That's why we have so much things that interrupt our progress, because we can't get on the same page. And it should be very simple to get on the page of what Malcolm X told us. They call them liberals. They call them progressives now. The one in the white skin that comes like a fox. See, a wolf. You know what a wolf is, but the fox got a smile. See, people, you gotta be on code to understand this. So we got to have a hard line on things like this as a family. And this has been a great room. I'm so glad that you graced the stage. Linus took the co-host, and everybody in the fam. Y'all came in here too out the space. What sparked this conversation is something happened in St. Louis. I'm not gonna revisit it. Check the jumbotron, and it's recorded. So thank you everybody for coming in here. Mr. Gabe, you got your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah. I just respectfully, I wanted to add one thing to Lioness Crown. We got to add lineage. You got to be of the lineage, and you got to verify that you are from the lineage. That means you got to do the work. That means you got to go through ancestry.com. You got to go through all those. Yeah, just do the work. Know who you're from. Know what was taken from you. Know what was lost, so you can recover what's yours. That's part of doing the work. So I'm a major fan of go do your lineage check, family. So I would that's the reason why, respectfully, I said we got to add lineage. Just got to keep it codified. We got to keep the ones in and kick the other ones out.
What's up, Raheem Shabazz? Oh, I've been following you for a minute on Instagram, and we ain't never spoke over the space or whatever. If you could pick up the mic, I would really much like that.
Oh, that brother speak hot fire, man. That brother speak hot fire.
Urban Reparations family. How's everybody?
Great. Thank you for coming to my space. I've got a powerful space going on right now. We got Lioness Crown in here. We got you in here. Got the family in here. There's a lot of family in here. It's last one left. That's the A Dub, Namombi. Yeah, we know who the family is. What's good? What's up, man? How you doing, Mr.
I'm
Shabazz?
great, and I'm just ready to receive. I just got in. I don't know how long you brothers and sisters has been on, but from scrolling, I definitely see the families in here. We got JoJo, we got the Lioness Crown, and a lot of other brothers and sisters that I see in different spaces. So yeah, I'm just here, I'm laid back, just listening to the family. Oh, real quickly though, I know y'all was speaking about something that's happening in St. Louis. And before I got on here, I was watching the documentary, and I implore everybody to watch that documentary because it's a telltale sign of what reparation is and what it ain't. And you can see a lot of the mistakes they made by trying to do it on a local level. And I'm not saying that it can't be done on a local level, but it was just so many mistakes. And I think more than anything, and I'm talking about Evanston, Illinois. That's where they really focus on in this documentary called The Big Payback. I think they was more so excited that they got it passed, and it pretty much was $400,000 for housing repair, which ain't no goddamn reparations. You know what I mean? It's just like they almost like recycled uh, um, a housing program. But it is a good documentary, something to watch. A lot of people need to be educated. There's several books that you should read. There's 5 points that you should know when you're dealing with reparations, and now there's a documentary that many can go see. So y'all check that out, man. And I'm gonna yield the mic. I'm gonna fall back and just listen in on y'all. Peace.
Well, I got you here, you know what I'm saying? So you know a little bit about it where the $37 million is COVID money. This I'm sorry, I got my son right here. You know I'm doing something, so he gonna make a whole bunch of noise. so So we got $37 million here that's been fighting over and it's a whole long tragedy. So I was just making some awareness out here, and we've been building on reading, and it's interesting that you talked about reading and bringing books up. We was talking about Dr. Claude Anderson and Sandy Darity. Those books, we have to understand that a lot of the family haven't even read these books. Also, Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. More people rest in power.
Dr. Nelly Fuller, throw him in there.
Yeah,
Dr. Kinsler Williams, throw him in there. Wait, man, let me go to the shelf real quick.
Dr.
Let me wipe off some books real quick. Um, um, The
Dr.
Devil
Isaac
You
Van
May,
Sertima, They Came Before Columbus. Definitely. We all
yeah,
need to read that.
that Charles Blow, The Devil You May Know. That's that Back to South strategy for those brothers and sisters that want to get back and get that black majority state. Y'all know you know what I'm talking about. You know exactly what we're talking about on that. And for those that love that Dr. Martin Luther King, where do we go from here? That's the classic right there. If you ain't got that on the shelf of the mantle, that's that IDB Wells rifle right there. That's what you need. That Dr. Martin Luther King. That's a classic. So those are some. That's a little short book list for you guys.
Yeah, I kind of and see. Well, let's talk. Let's work this up. So, my starter pack is all Pan African books. But if anybody want to get in this reparations thing, I need you to read. My starter pack is Stolen Legacy, Destruction of Black Civilization, 2000. Cheeky and I ain't gonna say his name because I'm gonna mess it up. But the ancient origins of African civilizations. They came
That's
into.
Dr. Sheikh Anta Diop.
Thank you. I didn't want to miss the name of. Thank you. And I ran sort of Medina Stone Lakes. I'm missing one. Yeah, all the scriptures, the 101 and the 100, the separate. Yeah, that's my starter pack. And then so when people talk about all the knowledge of Pan Africanism and Pan Africanet, and I want to touch back up on that because that's something that we all have to understand. The fight is here. The fight is in this hemisphere. We are at the spirit. We in the belly of the beast. And if people don't want to get behind us, they ain't trying to. They're not trying to fight the beast. Period. They're trying to help it. And that's where it goes to all the flat black conversations and the Pan African conversations. All of that would be over with if people know what the real mission is. It's not a lot of people that understand what the real mission is. So I'm gonna land right there for a second. Let's see, it's 6:30. It's okay. Let me do a quick little time check.
Wait, brother Conscious. I got some Pan African books on my shelf. Do you have that book called Who Education for All?
Nah, I ain't got that.
The recolonization of the mind of the African mind.
Mm-mm.
I'm gonna take a picture of it, and then I got the other one. Yeah, I'm gonna hold that other one back. I don't want to put y'all on with that, but that book right there is crazy. Just talking about the colonization and all that other stuff. I even got some other brother the Wrench in the Earth. Doctor Famous that book right there. That book is hard. He
The
also had the
Wretched,
other
The
one.
Wretched of the Earth by Dr. Frantz Fanon.
Yeah, and also Black Skin, White Mask. Right there. That book, that book highlights interracial relationships in detail. Y'all thought Dr. Omar was going hard. No, that dude go hard on that conversation. And he talks about it from an economic standpoint and stuff like that. So it's very, very interesting. And he's a psychologist for those that don't know. Like, so sociology was a big thing like that was my minor. So I have those little psychology books sitting on the shelf from them black doctors. So that's one of my favorite books.
So we gotta sure.
I mean, we know that white supremacy is a global prison system, right? So whether our brothers and sisters around the planet realize it or not, we are in a global prison system. Your prison uniform is our skin color within the system, and locally, right? The dynamics politically and culturally they play out differently. So I'm gonna just tell y'all straight up, I am in a commitment to dismantle anti-black racism, white supremacy on the planet, period. And my priority is where I am right now on this land that I'm indigenous to, in service of my ancestors, and to continue doing that work to produce justice for them and our children, and generations to come. That's where it starts. But for me, that's not where it ends, because this is still a global prison system. So I think that two things or multiple things can be true at the same time. I am lineage based, I'm lineage first. But I'm also an African woman living in a system of anti-black racism, white supremacy on the planet. So that goes back to my initial statement when I first came up. I don't see the two as being contradictory, at least not for me. I'm very well read, very well studied, and I see the nuances, and it's not like flipping a coin. It's not an either or for me in particular. But yeah, that's it.
But that's how deep what it goes that we have to explain things like that because these are theories that they gave us because they hid information from us for so long. You know, we know that we would know. I love that. I haven't asked this question in a long time. Does anybody know how old this planet is for real? While we have a history that's been written, we say at best a couple 100,000 years old, but we know rocks and stuff are millions upon millions of years old. Hmm. Getting a little deep. So, David, I don't know you.
Oh man, we forgot about Dr. Carter G. Woodson. Oh man, we violated.
Miseducation of the Negro. Absolutely, everyone needs that book.
We violated. We violated.
Yeah. Mister. Yeah. So it's so that's another thing. We just not. They really just start letting us really get our knowledge back. Less than maybe 200 years ago. Like it's real. People don't know time. They have. That's why I always be doing a time check, like I'm finna do right now. It's 7:36 Eastern Standard Time, 6:36 Central Standard Time, 5:36 Mountain Standard Time, 4:36 Pacific Standard Time. Allow me a time check. Saturday, January 21st. We have a broadcast in here going with 37 million sitting, and I can't get my reparations. Thanks for joining us. I got some new people on the request. David, I don't know who you are. I would very much like to speak to you. I hope you know where you're coming. How you doing? You got a microphone.
Everybody, what's up?
What's going on? How are you doing?
Yeah, I had thought that I might add to the book list discussion because that's my thing.
Okay, I think I kind of know your voice. Okay, add to the discussion, please.
Well, in my experience, our research would probably be best done through primary sources. One of the things that is problematic, no matter who you learn history from, is to learn history out of the mouths of other people or from the writings of other people instead of the primary sources. If a historian does not direct you to the primary source, he's a white supremacist scholar. Because the people who a lot of us think were of someone else were not who they say they were. So a lot of our so-called great master teachers were under a lot of pressure to hide the truth when you know the primary sources. I'll just give you a few. Read the letters of Christopher Columbus, the conquistadors, the letters of Hernan Cortez. You can start there. You can read the primary sources of the Catholic Church and the Jesuits dealing with the Spanish Inquisition. You can also read Miss Anna Wilkes. You can read John Ogilvy, and you can read John Mackey. And there's a lot of other ones too. You know, I don't have my list in front of me right now, but I have, I started reading when I was like 4 or 5 years old because, well, not 4 or 5, but probably like 5 or 6. Because, I was with my mama one day and I asked her why the sky was blue like any little kid, So my mom said, hey, she said, I could tell you why the sky is blue, but how would you know if I was telling you the truth if you didn't go look it up for yourself? So ever since that day, I've always been a bibliophile because that made a lot of sense to me. So when I talk to people about history or anything dealing with politics or what have you, I always refer to them to primary sources because I never want to give a person in public discourse my personal opinion. I always want to give them an informed opinion. And I want to be as factual as I can be at that moment. Because I'm not trying to mislead you. I'm not trying to convince you of anything. I want you to think for yourself.
Thank you, sir. So let me ask you a question. Are you, because I heard you say that many people that we consider to be master teachers actually are not, or that they get their information from elsewhere. Can you just clarify that for me?
I am glad you asked that question. Like, take someone like Cheikh Anta Diop. Cheikh Anta Diop was an agent. And the reason why he was an agent was because he was trying to convince the world of something that we all knew was not true.
And what was
Which is
that?
what? Hold on. Yeah. I'm gonna fall back. I'm gonna let the brothers handle it.
Yeah, and what was that he was trying to convince the world that wasn't true?
He was trying to convince us that what we know as modern Egypt was actually ancient Egypt. He was trying to convince us of something that wasn't actually true. When you study history from primary sources, there is no mention of an ancient Egypt in that part of the world. You would think a civilization as great as that one, someone would have talked about it. Because you have to remember, these were very literate societies because these were our people and our cousins who were in control during these times. This is the part of history they didn't tell you about.
Let me just play devil's advocate, right? Because
Look,
I hear what you're saying, but then again, I don't hear what you're saying. But let's just say, for the sake of the argument, everything that you're saying is true, and that he was actually wrong in his assessment, right? But does that make him an agent? You know, maybe he was misinformed.
well, I'm a critical thinker, and I know anytime my enemies give me an accolade, right? You have to question that. Why did the French people make him a man of, what is that, a French bell letters, or whatever the hell they do over there, the white supremacists over there in the French Academy, the ones who started the Egyptology lie? The ones who started the Egyptology lie, remember? They're the ones who started it 200 years ago. See, when we don't study history from primary sources, remember, our great master teacher, who I call Baba, and Dr. Neely Fuller, he said, if you don't understand white supremacy and how it works, everything you think you know will only confuse you. So that's our starting point, right? We have to understand how white supremacy works. How can I hope to replace the system of white supremacy with a system of justice if I don't have, one, knowledge of self? If I don't follow the master teacher and wonder, how in the hell did a people so great get in the fucked up condition we find ourselves in? That's what we have to ask ourselves. We know how great we are. Okay, cool. But how in the fuck did we get here? So that requires an in-depth, honest, and vigorous research into primary sources. Because, like I repeat, we're dealing with literate societies. People had to write things down, and remember, they had to describe the people. Remember, I'm using that word very carefully. They had to describe the people they were talking about.
So, Mr. David, let me ask you a question. What is your intended constructive result of the commentary you're offering to the room right now? What do you?
I was just me myself. I love, I come from educators. I'm an educator myself in my own way. I've never worked in the quote unquote system, but I've always educated. I've always been, well, I don't do it now, but I've been paid to speak and things like that. And I always teach in the community. I always teach my family and friends. But the purpose of me sharing is because we have to question everything. One of the things that I was taught in my home, because we were allowed to speak our mind, is to question everything. Don't attack the person, attack the person's ideas. Do it ruthlessly and expect the other, and beg the person to do the same to your ideas. But please attack my idea. Whip out the nuclear weapon and drop it on them. Let's search for the truth. Let's see what the facts are. Let's see what Baba says. Let's see what the logic of the universe tells us.
All right, can I ask you a question? This is just me, and I'm not speaking for nobody else. I'm just speaking for myself, right?
Yes.
I wouldn't even begin to question you, your motive, or get any type of understanding when I don't even know if you a real person. And when I say a real person, I'm talking about someone that's one of us, because we can't even see your picture in your avatar.
Oh, you don't think I'm a soul brother?
I know. I'm not saying. Listen, there's a lot of soul brothers. I'm saying that every kinfolk, every skinfolk ain't kinfolk. You know what I mean? Like, you got an avatar of a lion. Show your face. Who are you,
brother? Let me tell you who my family is. I
asked, who are you? Not your family.
I'm a McCullough, brother. I'm gonna tell you who I am. I'm a McCullough, brother. My name is David McCullough. I am a McCullough, brother. My people are from Harlem, New York. We are considered in that part of that town, Harlem royalty. We've been in Harlem for over 100 years. We're indigenous to the Americas, just like most of us. My mother was born in a hospital across the street from one of the greatest research institutions in the world. It's called the Schomburg.
Yeah, Harlem Hospital, right across the street. That's exactly where I was born at.
Yes. So
135th Lincoln Projects.
See, I was raised by people who taught me that being intelligent, being well informed, and having a proper knowledge of self was the only way that you could walk and talk like you had some sense while being under attack from the enemy. How do we stay sane and strong without proper information, brother?
Say that again.
I said, how do we stay sane and strong without proper information?
I don't know how others do it, but I know I stay strong and sane by having the knowledge, and not only just having the knowledge, but also by applying the knowledge and teaching the knowledge. As Marcus Garvey say, intelligence rules the world and ignorance carries the burden. So with intelligence, you're gonna always be able to remain sane.
That's a fact. That's a fact, brother.
But
Now,
nah, I'm not here to debate with you. I just be finding it funny. It's just me. I like to see who a person is, and the avatars. It just be throwing me off.
Well, let me slow it down for a second. Because Mr. David, yeah, you said your name is David McCullough, and you got the lion here. You got Lion's Crown in here. I'm a Leo, and Immortal Melanin just stepped in the room. We got Raheem Shabazz in here. We have a very great room, and I understand where you come from, but you coming in trying to spark a interesting thing by saying my starter pack is I don't want to mess his name online. What's his
You
name
said
again?
Sheikh
Sheikh
Anti-Diak is an
Yes,
agent.
Dr. Sheikh Anta
You
Diop.
said he's an
He said he was an
agent.
agent.
Like that's
Really?
strong words, man. Like Sheikh Anti-Diak. What about John Henry Clark? What about Ivan Van Sertima? What about James Small? Like these are grandmaster teachers. Like that's the first for me, brother. I'm gonna be honest with you. You know what I mean?
Real talk.
I'm like, it's one thing not to agree with it, to say, based on his premise of this, he didn't do his study, or he was developing the ideology of the French or whatever. But an Asian, oh, that's ugly. Yeah, if you could explain that just a little bit more, I might could be able to
See,
understand something, because right now I'm not understanding none of that.
like my thing is, if he would have said, what's his name, Karange, the guy who created Pan
Kwanzaa.
Africanism and Kwanzaa, I meant, yeah, if he would have said him, then like, yeah, I would understand what you're talking about, maybe, but like you're not. I don't know this other guy that you speak of, so it was coming from left field from my perspective.
I mean, well,
Like,
I've studied extensively about Dr. Sheikh Anta Diop, and Dr. Frantz Fanon and all of them. I think that for me, it was the statement that was thrown out and then the rationale that followed directly behind it that our brother David gave us, which was that, we need to go and read primary sources. So read Christopher Columbus, et cetera, et cetera. Well, who's to say that we didn't? And who's to say that those master teachers didn't? Right. But also what those master teachers were able to do was to extrapolate a Eurocentric mindset and paradigm, a way of thinking and doing things, and us reclaiming our own identity based off our own psychological and genetic makeup and our generational experiences in order to analyze our condition under a system of white supremacy. And so those master teachers did that as sociologists, they did it as Black psychologists, they did it as Black psychiatrists, they did it as anthropologists, educators, etc. So for me, it was the Dr. Sheikh Anta Diop is an agent, which was followed by, if you want to know the truth, go read the narratives firsthand from the Europeans. But we also have narratives as well. We've always had our own scribes. We've also always been our own griots and historians and kept our own historical records and documents. And so for me, it was the exalting the European and their so-called primary sources in that Eurocentric experience as the truth, and then disparaging, Dr. Sheikh Anta Diop and our master teachers, which are of melanated origin, right, within our melanated family, is making it inferior. So that's what I got from it. So this whole conversation, for me, I'm not going to say it went over my head, but it's very suspicious, and quite frankly, I don't like it.
Yeah. That if he's put it in that context, like how come he didn't use like the Library of Congress? There are slave records and stuff of that nature in the Library of Congress that is non what they call it, non-biased per se. That is like that is actual footage of these accounts. That is it's like so like for him to like kind of downplay it in that regards, I am kind of questioning. Then on top of that, our ancestors do cite sources in their books. Like if you go through in their back, they cite the source of the book and where you can find this material. So like, so what are you talking about, family? Like you're coming a little biased, and I tried to throw you a lifeline when I said you got that Dr. Karenga guy that was that's somebody that was a certified agent, that was a CIA agent who did these things, who created Kwanzaa, you know. Like you dig like so I hear what you're saying, but I'm not hearing what you're saying because you're not. Well, just to echo my brother, like I hear what you're saying, but I'm not hearing what you're saying because what you're saying is you have not had anything to support, but you really denigrated somebody. So I'm not cool with that myself, man.
You also said you were from Harlem and your mom's from Harlem. Where's your family from? Like, what state?
Oh,
All of that good
oh,
stuff.
we are low country, South Carolina folks, Georgia, Sea Island, Georgia, coastal Georgia, coastal South Carolina and Florida. We have ancestry that goes back hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. We have heirs property in Brunswick, Georgia. We are on my mother's side. We are the House of Marlborough. On my mother's side, we are the Churchills and the original Spencers. On my mother's side. The reason why I cited Europeans is because most of the Europeans that they talk about in history were some of our relatives. This is the part of history that a lot of the so-called great master teachers, I am sure they knew about it because they went to the same libraries that I did. So I'm sure they knew about it, but they were, like I said earlier, they were under a lot of pressure not to say certain things.
Do you consider yourself to be a master teacher?
No, I consider myself always to be a student. I always look for people who are smarter than me.
And how do you define, or what's your definition of a master teacher?
I consider a master teacher someone who is willing to question everything, even their own quote unquote position. I have learned through life to have a fixed position in following truth, as much as I can ascertain what the truth is based on available facts. But the one thing I don't do is I don't hold on to any quote unquote ideology.
So we do know, I'm gonna fall back after this. We know that clearly you said you follow Mr. Fuller's work. All problems can be solved through a series of questions and answers, but we have to ask the right questions in order to arrive at the proper answers that will create solutions to solve the problem. So I wanted to name that. But what I would say my definition of a master teacher is one who understands history and is able to apply it in a current, context and create new ideas to solve new problems. To me, that's my definition of a master teacher. So respectfully, sir, if you don't consider yourself to be a master teacher, I would be mindful, if I were you, of coming into spaces and trying to denigrate or disparage master teachers that have actually created new ideas, that have solved problems, that have allowed us to be where we are right now, to pick up the
And
baton and
risk
carry
their
the torch.
lives. And they risk their lives, respectfully. They risk their lives. Something that you probably never done, brother.
Well,
So like
So with that being said, Immortal Melanin, I had to meet the room. How you doing, brother? Have you enjoyed this part of the conversation where a master teacher was disrespected by being called an agent?
I mean, I would have just snatched this tonight and let him listen, but I'm just chilling, man.
Yeah, can I ask a question real quick? Dave, right? David. You had mentioned that I think you said your mother was born across the street from one of the most You were saying something about an institution, but you was referencing the Schomburg Library, right? Sheikh Anti-Diop has a whole section in that library, right? Because I've been there several times, at least 50 times, maybe 100 times, right? He has a whole section in there, right? So you saying this is like one of the greatest institutions of knowledge, right? Do you think that they will have him in there if they felt that he was an agent? That's my question. That's one. And then the second one is what him being an agent, like what was the gratification for him? Like what did he get out of it? You know, I know you said earlier that some people had to, you know, because they didn't want to say certain things or reveal certain truth. But what was in it for him to, you know, to be an agent? Like I don't understand. You know, we know agents. You know, Martin Luther King had agents around him. Malcolm X had agents around him. Like this man was a scholar, archaeologist, like among many other things. Like he didn't have that agent energy. Like, could you just answer that? And after that, I'm gonna fall back, and you know, I ain't mean to you know, change the current in the room. But yeah.
I am
You
I,
good?
I am glad you asked that question. Um, you know how we have this discussion about there's no such thing as flat blackness? Well, that's actually true. Cheikh Anta Diop was our enemy, our historical enemy. Cheikh Anta Diop was what we refer to, what is commonly referred to as a Cushite or a Hamite. He purposely hid the fact that the people who were taken into slavery were the most civilized and noble people ever in human history. They were the Israelites. That's what he was hiding. That's what all historians have been hiding about real history, who these people were. That's why when you read history from primary sources, you start to figure some stuff out. That these people have literally hidden the fact that the greatest people of the modern world have always been the greatest people on planet Earth. Our ancestors built every great civilization you have ever heard of with the help of our cousins, the Kushites, when we were cooperative with them. We had world trade networks. We expressed ourselves differently culturally, but we were the same ethnic group. This is why the Europeans went all around the world during their slave trade and made war upon certain groups of people. Have you ever wondered why the history of this part of the world is not mainstream? The so-called ancient history of the Americas is not mainstream. Why is that? How can half the world, with the cultures and civilizations that were here based on the monumental architecture that they left, how could these people not have written anything down and not been involved in world civilization? Come on, Tom. What's going on here?
First of all, why do you sound like a European right now? I was listening, and then the your inflection changed, and you started sounding, I don't know. Where you say you from again?
I was getting into my public speaking mode.
All right. Yeah, I know I said I wasn't going to ask no more questions, right? But every time you respond, it's just like, did he really just say that? But this is the last thing, man. You said that he is referred to as the enemy of the people or something to that effect. Can you say that again, what you said?
Well, what I'm trying to explain to you is that science and our actual
No.
records have proved.
I don't want you to go into a long try. I just want you to go back because I don't want to misquote you. You said that he's considered.
Brother,
Yeah.
brother, everyone who is not of our bloodline is our enemy on planet Earth, in case you haven't figured that out. This is why Baba Clark said we have no friends.
So Sheikh Anti-Diop is not of our bloodline, so therefore he's considered the enemy.
Let me say something to you, man.
No, I'm
We
asking
have
you a
no friends.
question. I'm asking you a question. Is he considered the enemy because he's not of our bloodline? I'm trying to understand this.
Yes, yes. Everyone on
I'm
planet.
gonna say,
Okay, we're gonna hold it right there. We're gonna hold it right there. Sheikh Amphity up is a great grandmaster teacher, a grandcester, and I'm not gonna sit. I just can't. I'm not no. So thank you, good brother, for all that you've contributed to the conversation, and that's the way I do that. So we just, let's just keep it moving because what I'm not going to listen to is, you know, him going in on that man's name. That man used all the information he had available to him to come up with what he came up with, and it's 97% accurate. Any inaccuracies that he had is because he lacked more information. He didn't have the internet. He had to travel around to libraries. He had to go around and find the information. He had to do real scholarship work. See, you couldn't Google it. So
And he had to decolonize his own mind in the process, right, within academia and going out in the world to get that information. He had to go through his own healing and decolonization process of the mind from the French at the same damn time. I just wanted to add on to your point, my brother.
yeah, facts. So I'm gonna unmute the room and let y'all keep it rolling.
Can I say something?
Yeah, what's up, nigga? What's up,
What's
nigga?
up, nigga? Hey, y'all. Shout out to everybody in the room. Shout out to the host and co-host. Yeah, I'm sorry. I take high offense.
what up, folks?
What's up, bro? What's up? You smell good. So yeah, I take.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
What's up? So yeah. So listen. So I take high offense for him saying shit like that, bro. Like, you have to understand that these master teachers took our community to a point to where we started realizing and started being conscious about what the fuck is going on, bro. Because they literally said, we're not, look, I don't want to be in the dark anymore. I don't feel as us as Black Americans need to be in the dark no more. So I'm going to put my life on the line. I'm going to take the initiative to go in here and find these research and talk to my people, to spread the word to my people, to make sure that my people know, hey, this is what's going on, y'all. Y'all need to look at this and take action. We need to take action. This is shit that I'm seeing. And the audacity to sit there and call them angels when they didn't gain anything out of this, bro. The only thing they gained out of it was getting their lives threatened. That was it. Like, you have to, bro, you have to.
And then, wait, MF Kush, no disrespect. Some of them died broke, alone,
Yes,
and they didn't have no money, and they didn't even, some of them didn't have enough money to bury themselves.
exactly.
So the audacity this guy said this stuff it's kind of painful, man.
Exactly.
It's kind of hurtful.
Exactly. Like I take so high offense to it because a lot of these books that are out there for us, my family and I, we do our best to try to read these books on a regular basis, on a weekly basis when we have family night. And if those books were not there, if these people didn't take those initiatives to go do what they did, I don't think my family would be as a close unit as it is now. I don't think we'd be sitting here on this Twitter app having a conversation like this had they not done that. So, bro, don't disrespect them. Pay them homage, bro. Give them that respect because you didn't go out there and go put your life on the line. You don't have any other information out there than basically saying that they're agents, and that shit is highly fucking disrespectful. So I'm already pissed off and I'm perturbed. So I'm gonna sit and listen before I could take somebody's head off. Please and thank you. God damn.
This is why scholarship, activism, and organizing go hand in hand. It's the Holy Trinity: scholarship, activism, and organizing. You can't have one without the other two, or whatever. We have to know what we are talking about, whom we are talking about, the foundation that was laid before us, before we even got to where we are, to do what we're able to do, to pass the baton, the torch over to the young people that we're bringing into this space. So again, reading is fundamental. Learning is fundamental.
Yeah, man. This is a historic space. Y'all don't even know it. The mines in here, y'all just didn't even. We talking on code. I went on a cigarette run.
So
I think this is one of the top 10 spaces for kicking off the new year. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I liking the vibes.
It's more to come. Outlawmedia.com. Y'all go there because Twitter gonna try to delete me, and that's where y'all gonna have to come. Y'all want the real.
a conscious you looks like you went over already that story about the 37 million that was coming to our ward. And if you don't mind, for me and other people who have come in here late, kind of give us a synopsis of what you've gone over concerning that.
Well, I just shared the two articles showing that we had $37 million tied up here from COVID money, and we had a gerrymandering of the district, and the aldermen that made sure that we got that money for this area. They found a way to take it from us. It's very deep. So
Do they
uh,
say do they say who's going to be in control of that money now? If it's not going to be the alderman for the ward that it was distributed to or earmarked for?
we'll see, there's a controversy now because the ones that's going to jail, their names is on the grant, and you can't get the grant. You have to redo the names. It's like some legal mumbo jumbo. So this all the while, if that hadn't happened, we had the money being spent here right now for what it was supposed to be spent on.
Wow. Yeah. Nothing like things like that don't happen by accident, so wow.
And then we go around the reparations conversation, and with the Gabe thing, we got to be politically astute and know these areas and know what's going on. Chicago is a hop, skip, and a jump. Uh, yeah, Chicago's a hop, skip, and a jump. I would love to meet Gabe. I don't know. I may not want to. I don't know. Yeah, so I'm just sitting back. It's a Saturday night. Had this room, like I said, I just came across my feed earlier. We were supposed to get 37 million, and it's delayed by the impacts of indictments of an immigrant, an Arab immigrant with a crime network with 54 counts, federal counts. And he's walking around, and three men that negotiated 37 million to go here, they're gone, and that deal's gone too.
Okay, so you went over with the people how that was set up by someone who was under indictment, federal indictment for over 50 some odd counts, some of them including uh, human trafficking. And you went over that particular individual who did the sting on those three aldermen was also a member of a family who owns a chain of uh, convenience stores here in this area. And I'm sure you let them know that them some Arab cats. They ain't Black Americans at all. So yeah, they set them aldermen up cold, and it's jacked up. The aldermen should have never took that money though. They should have never took that money, but they did, and it was all just a setup to hold up this money so that some pigs can eat off of it like a trough. Some of these vultures around here, uh, vultures meaning the ones who have historically siphoned resources from this part of town to the other side of town. Yeah, I know I'm talking about where they live at. So yeah, that's a pretty tough blow for our city.
You know what I was thinking? Because I was trying to read the story. I got a little bit of it. But you said one key thing that it was an Arab. Because that's what I was trying to figure it out. It was someone that was a foundation Black American, but the money that's the 37 million should be put in like what they call a escrow account, so that when everything does blow over, it can be used for what it's intended for. You know, you saying the 37 million was for COVID or for reparations? I'm trying to get this right. Was it for COVID or reparation?
COVID.
That's
Oh,
yeah,
COVID.
that's COVID relief funds. I think the city of St. Louis was earmarked like $500 million in COVID relief funds, and about 37 million of that was to come to the ward that I live in
Mm.
and that Constance lives in. And so, yeah, it's a pretty sticky stuff there.
Yeah. So did the council member or Adaman, did he step down, or you know what I mean? Because if that's the
It,
case,
it,
I know you say he's indicted. Someone else need to run for that position, so that you know what I mean, they can get them funds released expeditiously.
Yeah, that goes to another deeper problem because I was talking earlier about how they gerrymandered the districts and cut the wards in half from 28 to 14, and now you have people that wouldn't win against each other going for the same seat. People that have sat there and did different things in different areas, So it's real deep. They got the game like really gone with that because there's an election going coming up, a primary, a Democratic primary. In this Democratic primary, you have three Black American elders and women going against each other for a Democratic seat. The primary win is the win. There is no Republicans here. You
Yeah,
know,
that's us as a people. Sometimes, man, we got to sit down and strategize and say, yo, look. I know all three of us want this position, but the likelihood of all of us getting it is not going to happen. We're going to yield it to such and we're going to back you just so Joe Blow don't get it. You know what I mean? And a lot of times, man, that's what messed it up. And one thing that you did say was that it's three elders. And it's always, the elders don't want to pass the baton. And I know it's some young, firebrand brother or sister out there that can probably get in that position and take it to new heights. But sometimes these elders, man, they want to be the gatekeepers, and their retirement is when they transition. We seen that with John Lewis. We seen that with the other I think he was a senator out of Baltimore. And stuff like that, man. We got to get ahead of ourselves, man, and we can't continue to allow that to happen. But in cases like this, where there's something crucial with money just sitting there, the community need to come together and run a candidate against all three of them, and put them in a seat of power, so that money could be released to the community and the right thing can be done with it.
I'm going to add more to that reparation conversation. I just saw something that came across my YouTube feed that I'm kind of concerned about. Dr. Umar Johnson's against reparations, and he's calling out other reparationists that are for lineage-based reparations. And I'm considering that's more of a problem, because even Dr. Umar has also said that he was a part of the lineage, and that might not be the case. So this is very concerning to me.
Well, don't be too concerned, family, because that man does not have the ability to hold up our reparations. He doesn't have the ability. He can give his opinion, But I think when we're talking about him, the best thing we can do is look for his opinion where it concerns schools and how our children are being taught and what, those types of concerns. He has expertise in one of the areas of human activity, and he does best when he sticks to that. And so, yeah, that brother, his opinion on reparations does not reach as far as his expertise on school and children, child development, things of that nature. Check out his books if you want to know something about that. If you notice, he hasn't written a book about reparations because that's not what his expertise is in politics or anything like that. So that brother, I think we should do that with each other because even me, a lot of us like to discuss different topics, but I think that we should watch each other, figure out what that person is an expert in, and really kind of hone in on what they have to say about what they're expert in, and kind of just anything else he had to say about reparations. He's never been an expert in that. He no more than I am. So you want to talk about an expert in reparations, you have to talk about Johnny Cochran. You have to talk about Dr. Claude Anderson. You have to talk about the ones who have been focusing on that. You see, so yeah, man, I ain't too worried about what he got to say concerning reparations. Um,
Yeah, and another thing, you're definitely right about that. Another thing too, Umar, he don't believe in lineage-based reparations. He believed that, every black person, whether here or abroad in Africa, should get reparations, and that's not how it's gonna work. Reparations when it's concerning us, it's lineage based, and that interview that he did on the Breakfast Club, boy, that was just like a train wreck. One of the main things he kept saying is that we're not ready for reparation. There's no determinant factor of when we should receive reparation. There was no determinant factor when the Indians got reparation, or the Japanese, or the money that they gave to Ukraine. As far as, his argument that financially we're illiterate, and that we would use the money for for nefarious things. That
yeah,
argument,
that sounds like that same old.
yeah,
Yeah, bro, that sounds like that same old trope.
that
That
argument
same
doesn't hold, because
stereotype.
the same people that you said not ready for reparation gave you over $1 million for you to build your institution. So how are we not ready? Imagine if we had more money, what we can do. You know what I mean? We helped you with your school, we can help somebody else with a bank, and then we can help somebody else with a hospital. So that argument, man, is just like, those are white supremacist talking points on the low. And the sad part
Listen,
about it
man,
is that he has a voice, and he gets on certain platforms and he says that, and it just gives it more energy. But those that know, man, we ain't listening to that shit, man. You know what I mean? If I want to know about the school to prison pipeline and learn about the parents teacher conference, I listen to Umar for that. Anything other than that shit is uncivilized.
and to add to what you were saying, man, listen, these people just don't want to pay us. That's just like saying, "Oh, you ain't ready for you worked and got paid you're supposed to. Here come payday. It's 2 weeks later, and then your employer tells you, "Oh, you're not ready for a paycheck. You wouldn't know what to do with it." That's insane. And to that ignorant argument, I would say that go back and look at Reconstruction. Right after the Civil War, right that first 20 years after the Civil War or so, we had black people taking up office all over the country. They were ready for reparations. If you can produce this many people to hold that many public offices straight out of slavery, you were ready. We were ready for reparations then. When we look at Black Wall Street, uh, uh, and the ones around the country, we had Black Wall Streets all over the country. The one in Tulsa was just one part of a network of Black Wall Streets all over the country. They had airplanes, so they was flying them somewhere. Those people were ready for reparations. You understand me? Those people were ready for reparations. We used to like fancy cars and jewelry back then too. We used to like fancy clothes then too. We had all the same problems we got now. Most of them, we had them then too. All the same, determination and skills. We got that and some more now. So I can't look back at my people and say something like that after everything that we've accomplished. We talking on phones because Black people help invent them. We go through all this. We invent the air conditioning. We invent all this, but we're not ready for what belongs to us. And how that doesn't even make any sense. See, that's an ignorant argument in itself. How is a person not ready for something that belongs to them, especially when it's tangible resources? How is a person not ready for that? That argument doesn't make any sense whatsoever. It's double speak really to me. So let's not entertain stuff like that. You remind them we are the same people who, built Black Wall Street. We are those same people. And our mind is no worse. We're not any more traumatized. We're not any worse with money than they were. So that's my, 2 cents to add to that. That's an ignorant argument. I could break these arguments down all day against us getting reparations. All these goofy little lowbrow, silly little arguments. But y'all go ahead.
It's not the fact of that. It's just more of the fact that my brother last one left posted something up in the room a while ago about how these Pan Africans were paid by Russian operatives to disrupt the politics in our community. I'm looking at these Pan Africans a little bit more differently nowadays, especially when we speak about lineage-based reparations. They're very anti-Black American. They don't want us to do well in our country that our ancestors built. I find that it's a major issue and a concern that we should be looking at a little bit more and should be putting up preventable measures to protect ourselves from those type of situations. Some people might say that I'm doing a long shot, but I think it's something that is worthy to be addressed.
All right, I was trying to. Yep. So who's this? Just asked for the mic. I don't know who you are. So I had the space going on. Let's see. I started at like 5, so we had two and a half hour space. Mm, that's interesting. So yeah, we've had a great space. I went over everything here. Been a long day. So if anybody else wanted to speak, I see my brother Vino down there. I heard some whispers of some new videos. Would you like to come up for a second if you could, sir? If you can't, it's all good.
It's interesting that you did bring that up. I really do think it's time to take the reparations conversations into our own hands. We really do need to have people who are Black American on both sides speaking for us. Um, that's the way they do it everywhere else. Um, and I think that that's the way we should do it too. And then we'll get some of these silly arguments out of the way coming from people who look like us anyway. Man,
The reason why I brought this up is a couple of reasons why. It's because one, Narcan and Cobra, they're a heavy influence in with those type of ideologies. Second of all, is that this brother holds a high position within our community, if we like it or not, and he does have influence in our community, if we like it or not. And him speaking these disparaging things about lineage-based reparation does do a disservice to our community. And I think that does more damage than the things that he has done for our community, respectfully. Like one could conclude that. That's the reason why I'm bringing it up and underneath the thing of reparations. And it's our people like that are preventing us from getting reparation and using their position and their ideology.
well, I'll use myself as an example since he's not here. I consider myself a brilliant man, but just don't ask me how to fix your car because I ain't gonna be able to do it. Your shit will fall apart. I come away from under the from under the hood. I'll be like, here you go. You'll be mad as hell. But so everybody's good at they certain things. We got to be good at everybody is allowed to have an opinion, right? So, but we got to recognize whose opinion we need to take seriously in this type of conversation. And I just don't. I don't take his opinion seriously in this conversation. He's not putting forth any legislation. He's not championing any legislation. He's not active in that realm. He just, likes to give his opinion on that. Um, yeah. So, I'm not
I,
gonna let it. Yeah.
I'm just concerned at the fact that just the position that he holds, brother, and he and that is alarming to me, because like doctors or people that are in those positions, they do have influence on how policy is driven in our community. And what I mean is that like there when there's legislation and stuff like that, they go to those people for policies and such. What would stop them from a government official going to a Dr. Umar to get credentials or get certain things to like you get what I mean? That's when it becomes a little bit problematic. And what if they're like, well, we heard them like we know you're for education. Now we want you to go speak on reparation because it's against our narrative and it's gonna hurt our you get what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying, but we got a lot of black people out here speaking against reparations. And the evidence of what I'm saying is nobody gave him over $1 million to champion reparations. They gave him some money to build a school. And from what I can tell, he's slowly but surely doing that. Slowly but surely. As long as he hasn't given up already, then that's going to eventually happen. As long as he doesn't give up. So I'll contribute. I have contributed something to that. But any reparations advocacy that he has, I'm just not. I'm not going to listen to it. It's up to us. I'm not sure if it's true or not, but allegedly he has, lineage that goes back to Cuba or something like that. So he's gonna say the things that he say. He's gonna look at it the way he looks at it. I think one side might be here and another side might go to Cuba or something like that. That's allegedly. I don't know that man's lineage. But people like him, they make a lot of noise, but they don't make a lot of motion when it comes to this reparations thing. It really is time for us to present our own legislation. And then we nip all this at the bud. And when we produce that legislation, then we present it to Umar or anybody else for their opinion. Now we're asking for your opinion on something that we put forth. And if you say, okay, I like this, but I think it should be more, then we can talk. But if you say any of that other stuff, oh, we ain't ready for this, then I automatically gonna put you in the category of someone who opposes reparations. Period. You're not gonna sneak around and say, oh, well, I'm for reparations, but I just think we ain't ready for it yet. That means you're not for reparations. Just like Gabe, the white boy. Oh, I'm for reparations, but you're not for state level reparations, and you're not for municipality wide reparations. You're not for reparations paid out by your ward. So nowhere where you seek to have influence is you don't want it there. Where you seek to have influence, the position you want to hold, you don't want reparations spoke of. So that's an anti-reparationist. You know, you can't let people double talk us and double speak us. But yeah, man, these people who are against reparations, that's what we really need to do. Present, our legislation, sample, sample executive orders, a bill for reparations that take care of the legislative, a sample order, executive order for reparations that take care of the executive, and then
Just
we need to start
the
start
reason.
educating.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm finna land. I'm finna land,
okay.
brother.
I'm sorry
We need
about
to
that.
start. We need to start educating our people who are down for reparations, who are attorneys already. There's an education they need to have, and then we need to get that same education to our youth that are, you know, 12th grade, between, right around 11th, 12th grade, first year of college. They need a particular legal education too, so that we can take that fight to through the legal system. Uh, the fourth estate. There are a lot of people who are working on media, uh, grassroots media outlets. A lot of people have them already. And we're going to use those to offset the fourth estate. So what we really need is people to, if your expertise ain't reparations, I really need you to fall back, if you're not for it.
Hey, while proudly plugging myself, I put my video in there. You know what I'm saying? Hit the Jumbotron. Retweet, please. outlawmedia.com.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, maybe somebody can answer it in here. I was watching a movie. I'm almost halfway done with it, called The Big Payback, about reparations, and I was seeing a lot of mistakes that the sister out in Aviston, Illinois, made, and some of the good things that she was able to do, and how she was able to get it approved on the local level. Um, I think the biggest hindrance is HR 40, and the language that they got in there. And I think once someone is able to get to that level where they can change it and get it codified with the language that we know it should be, which is Linux based, then we will be in a great position, right? And for individuals and states that are doing it on a local level, um, one of the main things that I seen that they had in Evanston was they had a lawyer that was able to draw up the legislative language and put it into a bill for it to be passed. Um, what do y'all think is the next step as far as trying to because I see other people was proposing other bills. I was reading something about a bill, I forget what the name, it was a funny name they was calling it, but when you started reading the language and what they were saying, you'd be like, oh, okay. But it was just the manner and the title of the bill was just like, come on, you got to get more serious in this.
The African heritage one.
Nah, it wasn't called African Heritage. Nah, it wasn't that one. It was I will have to look it up. I'll look it up and try to put it in the jumbotron. But my question to everybody here is, what is it going to take for us? Because right now, the biggest thing is HR 40, and that shit is just a bill to have a commission to study the effects of slavery. What is it going to take right now for it to get pushed forward and for reparations to actually happen?
I think that we're fortunate that it hasn't been pushed forward. I think we're very fortunate that that's a bill that was never passed, because really it asked a foregone. There's a foregone conclusion. They asked a question: uh, study reparations. You know how many studies have been done? Go look at the Kerner Commission. Go back and look at all the studies that's been done. Hundreds of studies over the last 100 years. So they really just asked for a postponement a delay. Let's delay. Let's postpone. Let's study it and come back with the answer that you're not owed much. Just a little, just a few welfare programs. If it got passed today, and then they completed the process that it was designed to do, is just a study. Their study will come back and tell you all you need is a little welfare program, just a housing voucher, some food stamps, um, um, some free education to the same universities, to the same into the same educational system that is failing us now. Uh, our demographic, especially Black women, are some of the most educated people in the United States. There's not a demographic that has more college degrees than our Black women. And we got plenty of brothers with the degrees too. So it's not for a lack of education. You understand? We just have to present our own legislation. I'm working on that. I'm working on that. Maybe even before. Well, I'm not going to give the dates, but pretty soon we'll have that. You know, I need help though. I need y'all's help. So when I reach out for it, either you're gonna give me your help or not. And either way, I'll be cool with it because I would have done my part. But we really do need to get that legislation written, uh, as far as to go to the executive, as far as to go to the branch of government, not the judicial, not the executive, the legislative branch. So we're going to hit them up, all three of them. You know, um, and
And
I'm gonna
what's your
land it.
timeline?
I want to have it completed by Juneteenth. So a bill that's written that I can present, to the family. I want to present it to first and foremost people who are Black American on both sides so that we can go over it together and, critique some things. People who are in here now, if you want to inbox me things that you think should be in a reparations bill, that would be a good idea. And I can, because I can't remember everything myself. There's a lot, that needs to go in there. So if y'all want to inbox me with information and ideas of how, like, I need somebody to give me their synopsis. Now I know what the qualifications that we've heard from people like Sandy Darity, for example. So if you want to inbox me about that, or things you may have heard from Dr. Claude Anderson that you would feel like needs to be included in a reparations bill for actually paying reparations, not studying it, not any of that. No, actually pay, just like they did
Brother
the
Immortal,
Japanese.
can I comment on that? Dr. Clark Anderson in his book, he mentioned by the last name of a white descendant and a Black person. If their stuff matches up, that was another way of getting restitution directly from the people that were aggrieved. An example would be of that guy that plays a Marvel character in the Bohemian People, whatever. They're suing him directly, their family directly, for their cause of slavery on their land and such. So, like, that is something that Dr. Claude Anderson has pointed out directly, and I think that we should add for reparations.
Very
Absolutely.
interesting.
And also, we can just ask him. So I'm gonna connect with you, Brother Immortal, because he may have specific things, and things have come up, things have changed, the country has changed, the world has changed since he's written a lot of his books too. Um, and we should definitely include those things, brother, Mr. Engaging. But also, we can just ask him, and I'm sure he's pretty familiar, with your city as well, from a business standpoint, and historically what Black folks have been enduring economically, financially, etc. So while we still have our master teachers still here, we can ask them these questions and have them advise and make recommendations too.
Immortal, I want to ask you a question, right? I know you said if individuals got questions or ideas, they could DM you. From a financial standpoint, because I know, time is money. What do you have anything going on where we could financially support you so that you can reach your deadline by June?
Yes, but I haven't set it up yet, and I've been kind of discouraged based on how things turn. Just based on how people are, it's kind of discouraging because it's a lot of work. I'm going to have to confer with people. I'm going to have to talk to many different types of people before I even present the draft for the family to go over and to give information and ideas about. So yes, but it seems to me that every time Black people get together and we want to get together and pool our resources to do something for ourselves, people start calling it a grift. So I might have to just do it on the strength, just so when I present it, I don't have to even listen to that kind of talk. And that could push back my timeline, but one way or another, I'll make a decision here in the next 7 days or so. Um, my thing, I really don't even want donations from just anybody.
Yeah, that was another
'Cause a
thing I
lot-
was gonna say. It can be where you don't open it to the public. You know what I mean? If I don't know how many's in the room, 50 of us is in the room. With 50 of us, I'm sure we can come up with a substantial amount where it's not advertised outside of this room or outside of the lineage, because you listen, there's people that you're gonna have to go see, you gotta travel, you want to be able to have other people assist you, and you might want to give them a stipend. You know what I mean? It costs money, man. You know what I mean? And if we don't support it, like I definitely I feel you about the drifting thing, because there's a lot of that out here, but real recognize real. You know what I mean? Like I don't know you, personally, but just from the conversation, I will be willing to help out. You know what I mean? Because we all got to do this. This can't be on the shoulders and responsibility of one individual. So you set the date, the time, or whenever, and just know, you got some brothers and sisters here that will support you financially.
Yeah, it's deep because a lot of us do stuff out the strength and it got gun shy. I'm gun shy after the pull ups, and I'm not. That's all I'm gonna say. I can go into it, but yeah, the grift word that they be putting on people, and Black people can't be grifters. Fuck that. That's the new. Hey, that's the energy. I can't be a grifter. Because there's so much stuff we do freely out our own pockets on the strength. Just like Linus said, the reward for work is more work. That is real. That is real.
Yep, the reward for good work is more work. No trophies, no accolades, no pat on the backs, no recognition. It's just like, oh, okay, now we can get this done. But yeah, we definitely do need to support each other though, and as a way to support, like, and I understand what the brother Immortal is saying, because people have asked me for years, what's your cash app? What's your cash app? I will not give it out. And there's things that I've done, but I am, like our brother Raheem Shabazz said, I'm not gonna accept anything from everybody. Um, so there's a way to, create campaigns, off of social media and stuff. I'm sure you all know this, reaching out to family and friends or trusted individuals that you are willing to receive from. That's important. But in terms of the whole grifting conversation, or people having something negative to say, quite frankly, people are just going to do that anyway. Unfortunately, we can't control that, but we also don't want to put ourselves in a situation where it's more drama or stress. You want to be intentional in terms of who you're building with. So I see all aspects of the argument, but if somebody's committed to foolery, they're just committed to that anyway, and they're going to have something negative to say, whether we're doing something constructive or non-constructive.
Thanks.
Well, keep an eye on this space. If you follow me, you'll get to see it. If you don't, my account is unlocked right now. So if you want to follow me so that you'll get a chance to catch it right around February, somewhere in Black American History Month, I'll give more information on the progress that I have now that I've made so far and the help that I'll need. So that'll be coming up next month around the middle of the month, let's say around 15th or 16th of February. I'll give more information. If I do need any help at that point, I'll be reaching out to the family to see how we can get that done. So I really appreciate, what y'all have said. And like I say, my inbox is open. I can't remember everything. It's a lot to remember. So, I don't mind people inboxing me saying, hey, don't forget to make it lineage based. Don't forget to uh, have this qualification or that qualification. Don't put in there less than this amount of money. Give me your opinion. You know what I'm saying? How much? Don't forget provisions for self determination and land that we can prosper on. And don't forget, it's a lot of things to take into consideration. So, yeah, just inbox me with, any ideas what you think it should be in there, and I will work to put it in there if it's something that's feasible.
Yeah, well, I know, like I said, I've been knowing that we got 2024 coming up. That's what my eyes been on since 2020, and it's a lot of things going on. Like I said, Twitter. I got my .com, and the mother's working on what he's working on, and I also have my second annual band awards. Yeah, because it's been a very serious year. Actually, Dr. Clyde Anderson inspired the idea of that because he talks about how we should ban people from our environment in everything. Kind of like how Gabe and all these things. I'm just circling it back around, bringing everybody back up. 37 million sitting, and I can't get my reparations because I should be getting reparations instead of worried about COVID money. I shouldn't even be worried about no COVID money. I should be worried about reparations. And then mm.
Facts. Well, Brother Conscious, Brother Immortal, everybody else, I want to say thank you for the time and the space and for the bill. I'm glad it was recorded so I can go back and pick up some of these jewels. I'll fast forward through the foolery that took place tonight. But I'm going to have to hop off and get to work. And I'll be back in the space soon. It's been nice. I think the last time I was in your space, Brother Conscious, it was New Year's Eve, and you did a rundown of the year. So that was really dope. So it's glad to be back. And I just want to say thank y'all and have a blessed night.
Yep, I'm about to shut it down. I had it open for about 4 hours. So yeah, thank all of y'all for enjoying this space with me. It's 37 million sitting. I can't get my reparations. Outlaw Media, January 21st, 8:49 Eastern Standard Time, 7:49 Central Standard Time, 6:49 Mountain Standard Time, 5:49 Pacific Standard Time. Outlaw Media. Yeet.